Spark the brain. 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 We here. Spark the brain. Spark the brain. Spark the brain. It's the third round, RPB. I don't know if they ready for this one, man. You gotta switch it up on them a little bit. You know what I'm talking about? Have a seat at the master's table. We ain't asked for no seat. We went and built up our own. You see, it's rather stable. You got 2 eyes, 2 ears, you know the rest. Look, listen, and observe, but also respect. In God we trust. It's obvious. The money ain't the root of all evil, but lack thereof. That's why they deprive you of resources. Why they focus on streams of income, at least 3 sources. We certified, we solidified. And they say they created hip-hop, but all that shit is lies. Cause every element came before the development of what we callin' hip-hop now. It's all relevant. So all the topics we gon' touch on. Spoiler alert, as we play this album, ain't no club songs. Boy, that hurt, but this ain't no conscious album. It's just that real shit, that Black God mantra album. I hope y'all feel this. Spark the brain. 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 My mind is spark the brain. Spark the brain.
The masters. The masters. The masters. The masters.
I heard the dreams are illegal in the ghetto.
Black girl, you ain't gonna be no damn.
I heard that dreams are illegal in the
Boy,
ghetto.
you ain't gonna be no lawyer.
But I am dreaming.
Don't you know that dreams are illegal in the ghetto?
I heard that dreams are illegal, but I
am dreaming.
Dreams are illegal in the ghetto. 2 dreadlock poets spoke of it. You might go crazy if you notice it. To have vision is to have no defense. Nobody see what you see coming. Still you're so convinced. See when you're operating on higher vibrations, flush your way below sea level. It's hard to vibe with laymen. Tell them your dreams and they'll show you the obstacles. Teach you that the sky is the limit. That's how they lie to you. That ain't what I would do. Give you the truth. Take the trip inside of your mind. You'll find the God in you. Nothing's impossible. This world is your oyster. Perpetual the message through when you lift your voice up. Teach them how to be men and do away with that voice. Have you make decisions for you knew what the choice was really. It's a trap, just like you said in your rap. Don't let these niggas kill your dreams in the ghetto. I excel. Dreams are illegal in the ghetto. I excel. They all fail. I excel. Dreams are illegal in the ghetto. I excel. Dreams are illegal in the ghetto. I excel. Dreams are illegal in the ghetto. I excel. They all fail. I excel. Plan, block, strategize. Don't let them haters back inside. Move like a mastermind. Self-doubt is so asinine. So don't believe the critics of your mind. We define them as dumb, deaf, and blind. Read your Bible. They say don't cash your pearls before the swine. They of a mortal mind. You are before your time. Protect your dreams. They coming from a source that's divine. All I seeing, my being. Born in the month of March, we look to the skies dreaming. Realize demons gon' always see when you high beaming. And try to dim your light. See how they crucified Jesus. James Brown had a vision. He wouldn't let them pimp him. On your masters or suffer the curse of the gifted. These words of wisdom are fit for the future generations. Elevate your dream to the top until you levitate. I excel. Dreams are illegal in the ghetto. I excel. Dreams are illegal in the ghetto. I excel. Dreams are illegal in the ghetto. I excel. They all fail. I excel. Dreams are illegal in the ghetto. I excel. Dreams are illegal in the ghetto. I excel. Dreams are illegal in the ghetto. I excel. They all fail. I excel. Yeah, like that. Let's see what's in the God's mind. Listen. Peace, family. Peace to the family. What's going on with y'all? I am here. It looked like that was a little bit choppy. Was that choppy for y'all? Was the stream messing up while the video was playing? Yeah, was the stream messed up while the video was playing? It looked like it was hella laggy just now. But I'm here though. How am I now? How am I looking and sounding now? I'm here. Welcome to another episode of Sincere Love, the Godcast. I am the God, Sincere Love. Let me change my what's the name real quick. This one right here. Boom. Yeah. So yeah, I am the God, Sincere Love, and I am on another solo mission tonight to defend the throne. You know what I mean? The God MC, Nasir Jones, recently released his new album, Magic 3. He actually put out 2 albums in less than 2 months. Magic 2 and Magic 3 came within less than 2 months of each other. And so I did a live reaction to the new album the other night. If you didn't see that, make sure you go and check that out. By the way, hit the like button, family, as y'all come in here, please. Hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you have not already been subscribed to this channel. Double check, even if you are subscribed to the channel, double check, make sure everything is still smooth, and turn on all so that you get the notifications whenever I go live with new episodes. But yeah, make sure you go check that the live review, my first reaction to the new Nas album. But today, I'm really here today to defend Nas's honor from this continued media onslaught attack that he's really had to endure for most of his career. When it comes to the hip hop media, the coverage on Nas has always been heavily slanted and extremely negative. They've been trying to put a damper on his legacy for quite some time now. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, this article came out the other day, or I don't know when it came out, last couple of days. I seen it today on Hip Hop DX. This writer for Hip Hop DX did basically a hit piece. It's a so-called review for the new album, but it's basically just another hit piece. And like I said, they've been doing this for the majority of Nas's career. And so we're going to talk about some of that tonight. But I guess this might just also serve as my official review of the Magic 3 album. Because I said I was going to come back and do a review. I wanted to wait like a week or two to really soak it in. But man, I've been playing that thing. I've been playing that album so much. I love this album, man. This Magic 3 album, man, I love it. It's a perfect album to me. It don't have no skips on it whatsoever. Like, man, I love this album. I love this album. I keep on playing it. It's been a while since when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is go to an album and play it. You know what I'm saying? Lately, like over the last, like since streaming been around, really, I haven't had this type of excitement about an album for a long time. I'm not gonna say since streaming been around, never, but I'm just saying it's been far and few between since I just keep playing the same album over and over again. And like I said, as soon as I get up, that's the first thing that's on my mind, really. You know what I'm saying? Like most of us, we get up, we check our timeline, we go on Instagram and check our notifications and shit like that. I wake up, I'm pushing play. I'm on title pushing play on the Magic 3 album. I love this album, man. Yeah. Well, shout out to Chris. Shout out to Chris Doherty. We gotta set the record straight. We gotta set the record straight when it comes to the God Nas, man, and his legacy. Now, me, if y'all been watching me for a while, if y'all been checking out my content for a while, y'all know I do a lot of Nas content. I started this channel doing Nas content. My very first episode of Sincere Love the Godcast was a review on the first King's Disease album. My first two live streams that I did on this channel was talking about the first King's Disease album. But I've also, like I said, if you've been following me for a while, I've also been very critical of Nas. Nas is my favorite MC, the greatest MC of all time. You know what I'm saying? And so I've taken the liberty as a real student of Nas, a true fan of his work, you know what I'm saying, an admirer of his genius. I took liberty to be able to criticize my favorite MC when I saw certain things that didn't sit well with me, things that I didn't like, things that I felt were compromising to a certain degree for his legacy. I've spoken on those things, and I've also defended Nas from media attacks like the ones that we're going to be talking about tonight. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the main thing too, because even though this is about Nas, it's bigger than Nas. This is really about hip hop. This is really about defending the legacy and the true essence of hip hop, because Nas is an MC that exemplifies the true essence of hip hop and the art form of MCing. He's the greatest MC of all time. I don't want to argue with your mama. Argue with your mama. I'm not accepting any more arguments. I've, throughout the years, Nas has always been my favorite MC, but I've entertained arguments from certain other MCs. You know what I'm saying? Those days are over. I'm not entertaining no arguments from nobody. Nas is the greatest MC of all time, and it's not close. And it's not close. Argue with your mama. Shout out to everybody coming in the chat. Shout out to everybody coming in the chat. Shout out to Omega Courtney. Yeah, I'm glad you caught this too. Appreciate you being here. Peace to the God, Azim Sakir. I see you. Sherilyn Brown, what's going on? How you doing? Brother, I wanted to invite you to a Bridging the Gap Convo exclusive dinner here in Athens, Saturday, October 28th. Send me a DM. I'm at Sincere Love the God on all social media platforms. Make sure you guys are following me on Instagram and Twitter and all of that. But send me a DM on Instagram, Courtney. Send me the details in the DM. Let me check that out. Let me see what that's about. Shout out to Queen Cree in the building. Darwin Ashby. Sherilyn Brown said, and he is the cutest. Talking about Nas. Salute to the God, Ishmael. Ishmael in the building. Ishmael going to give me a hard time tonight. I already know it. That's all right, though. That's my brother. People like Ishmael, they can give constructive and righteous criticism to the Nas's of the world. But people like this dude, I think his name is Eric. What's his name? The dude that wrote this article in the Hip Hop DX today, his name is Eric Diep or something like that. I think he's a white Latino dude. But he's a so-called journalist that writes for Hip Hop DX and other. He's a freelance journalist or whatever. Hold on, let me get my shares together here. And so people like my brother Ishmael are allowed to criticize, have righteous criticism for Nas because he is the culture. Our brother Ishmael, he's not a fan of hip hop. He's not a student of hip hop. He is hip hop. People like myself, I'm the embodiment of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And so when I'm speaking on Nas, even if it's critical, I'm speaking from a place of love and admiration and care for the culture. You know what I'm saying? But when you got outsiders who've been put into these positions as gatekeepers and so-called curators of the culture, people that are from outside of the culture are put in strategic positions to be able to steer the narrative of hip hop. And Nas is a very, 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 very important figure that has to be dealt with in order for them to achieve their goal of usurping hip hop from foundational Black Americans, from trying to wrestle the legacy and the creation of the most powerful art form in the galaxy, in the known galaxy, which is hip hop, trying to wrestle that from foundational Black Americans is what's happening on a wide scope of things. But when you break it down to what we've always seen going on with Nas throughout his career has been a big part of that play also. And that's the reason why I want to talk about this. And so for people that just think that, you know, I'm just a Nas stan or whatever the case may be, I'm just doing some type of hero worship, celebrity worship or whatever the case may be, you know, if some people look at it that way, I guess I'll have to wear that criticism to a certain degree. I am a huge fan of Nas. He is my favorite MC. I'm unapologetic about that. But if you think that that's what this is about, what I'm doing, if you think that that's what this is about, then you don't have the capacity to really understand what's going on here. You know what I'm saying? We are at war. This is warfare. So it's bigger than Nas, even though it is about Nas. All right? And so, greatly appreciate that, my brother. Oh, yeah, absolutely. You already know. Been a big Nas fan, but hubby feels he's compromised. What does hubby say about him being compromised? He might have some of the same criticisms that I've had. Like I said, I've criticized Nas heavily on this platform right here, also on some of my other platforms. And my most recent album, The Master's Table, me and my brother DJ RP Beats, this is available on all streaming platforms right now. Make sure y'all go check it out. DJ RP Beats, Sincere Love to God, The Master's Table. But we got a song on here called The Fort. We got a song on there called The Fort where I address Nas directly and specifically with some harsh criticism. So again, if you think I'm just a stan or whatever the case may be, ain't nothing I can do with you. You know what I'm saying? You might as well just log off and go watch something else if that's what you think that this is about. You know what I'm saying? Nobody is above criticism. You know what I'm saying? But we have to be very careful about who's doing the criticizing and where it's coming from. You know what I'm saying? Hubby says he's doing the Hennessy deal. Really changed his view of Nas. I kind of spoke on the Hennessy thing a little bit. I wasn't too critical of that, though. But I have spoken on that and pointed out the contradiction, or what I perceive to be a contradiction, because people grow, change, and evolve. We can't expect people to be the same person. But I remember back when Nas was doing the Stillmatic run, I believe it was, his Stillmatic press run, he was on MTV. They had a show called The Diary. They used to bring different artists on and they would just like follow them around, you know, leading up to their album. And I think it was the Stillmatic album that was coming out. It could have been Godson, but I think it was Stillmatic. And I remember he was in the car. They was in the car with him, filming him and all that. And he was getting phone calls from, you know, his team, his publicists, and all of these different people. And he was getting a phone call from somebody, and they was telling him, I think it was Budweiser or one of the beer companies wanted to do a deal with him. They wanted to do an endorsement deal with him. And he was like, nah, no bid commercial, man. I ain't doing no bid commercial. Like he was taking like kind of a righteous stand against not promoting the alcohol. You know what I'm saying? And so then when he started doing the Hennessy thing, I did kind of point out like, you know, that being a sign of him kind of turning the corner maybe in the wrong direction. But I wasn't too critical of it, because when I really think about that situation, Nas in particular has been talking about Hennessy specifically since Illmatic. He's been giving them free promotion for years anyway. You know what I'm saying? As many of us have, many rappers and all of that. Hennessy is a big brand within the culture. You know what I'm saying? For us, it's on the East Coast, I know for sure. You know what I mean? Like Hennessy is a big part of it's a big part of you know uh it's just oh, I don't know the word I'm trying to think of to how we place Hennessy. You know what I'm saying? The place that we hold Hennessy in. But just suffice to say that it's near and dear to us. It's very near and dear to us. So he's been giving them free promotion all these years anyway. So why not get the bag? And they do it in a very sophisticated, elegant way. You know what I'm saying? The pairing between Nas and Hennessy, I love how they do it. And they do have some positive initiatives that I've checked out on the website before, because since I was being critical of it, I had to also do my homework to make sure I know what I'm talking about. So really, when you go on the website and you look at the section that deals with the partnership with Nas, it's a lot of positive work being done through that partnership. You know what I'm saying? That I can respect. Yeah. Nas doing Hennessy promos and Even You Owe Me is similar to Cube. Are we there yet? So are you saying Cube doing the Are We There Yet thing was cringe, like kind of cringy, or you wasn't feeling Cube doing that or whatever? Or are you just saying, I don't know what you're trying to say there. Said that's when he was young, doing Henny, was in his 40s. Nah, he's still drinking Henny. Still drinking Henny. You know what I mean? At 50, brother, that's exactly the situation that turned my hubby. Okay. Represent the song that he mentioned in Hennessy. Was Represent the song that he mentioned Hennessy? Maybe. I ain't gonna recall the lyrics right now. But it's definitely been mentioned before he was doing business with them. I don't drink or smoke, so that's all silly to me. Got you. Everyone ain't Chuck D when it comes to placing morals over money. Got you. Not for me. It's just them growing and getting generational paper. Yeah, I ain't really too mad about the Hennessy thing when it comes to Nas. My thing that I pointed out when I was criticizing Nas was, number one thing was the collab he did with Lil Nas X. I talked about him endorsing Biden and Kamala. A lot of y'all missed that because Nas didn't get a lot of big pushback for that because he didn't go super hard with it. But at the last minute, like toward the end of, it was like right before Election Day, maybe the day Election Day or the day before Election Day, he did make a post supporting Biden and Kamala. And so I said something to him. I said something about that in my criticism towards Nas. He was doing some caping for the Asian hate thing on, I think it was KD2, the Asian hate thing. Also, the girls, if y'all remember the girls that was twerking at the restaurant, I think that was in Texas. That was a big thing on social media. Might have been KD2 also, right around the KD2 era, I think it was. Even some of the other things that I was just noticing and seeing in the lyrics and otherwise that I was like, I wasn't really feeling it. And so I spoke on it. You know what I'm saying? And so, again, I criticize him when he deserves to be criticized. I big him up when he deserves to be bigged up. And I'm going to defend him when he deserves to be defended from people like this guy right here. So this guy right here, Eric Diep, he's a writer for Hip Hop DX. And he did this article talking about the new Magic 3 album. By the way, family, how y'all feeling about the new Magic 3 album? Give me y'all ratings in the chat. As far as mics, put 1 mic if it's trash. Put 5 mics if it's a classic. Put 2 mics if it's weak. Put 3 mics if it's solid. Put 4 mics if it's a masterpiece. Because we can't do half mics with the emoji. So we're only going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 mics. What's y'all take on the new Nas album, the Magic album. See, I knew me and Ishmael was going to have beef. He gave it 3 albums. He said it's solid. He gave it 3 mics. He said it's solid. Brian Lick said it's 5 mics. Love Nas, always have. Only heard 2 songs so far. Okay, so you can't rate it yet. I love this album. 5 mics. Classic for me, no skips. I agree 100%. Azim gives it 4 mics. He says it's a masterpiece. 5 mics, and I'm from the South. Shout out to Mike 100. He says I give it 5 mics, and I'm from the South. Chris Doherty, plus a masterpiece. Chris Doherty says plus a masterpiece. So that's 4 mics from Chris Doherty. Honestly, don't really follow popular artists anymore. Magic 3, 4 mics. The 4th mic is for Hit Boy's production. Yeah, man. Woo! Yeah, man. Yeah, Hit Boy is that dude right now, man. Hit Boy is that dude right now. Okay, so that's a masterpiece from Peter Ogun. Shout out to Peter Ogun. Been waiting for Nas and Wayne to rock for a long time. That's definitely a standout track. Wayne snapped on that joint, which I think who had a better verse on the joint with him and Wayne. You know we do that in hip hop. Whether they want to make it a competition or not, we gonna make it a competition. Y'all let me know who had the better verse in the chat between him and Wayne. But let me get to this article right here. I mean this hit piece right here that this guy did in Hip Hop DX. I don't like it. I don't like it. They're doing the thing now where they try to give these backhanded compliments. You know what I'm saying? They'll throw some shade and then they'll say some good stuff. Throw some shade and then say some good stuff. Trying to be slick. And so he does a lot of that here. Because now they can't get away with it the way they used to with the old media when it was the magazines and all of that stuff that controlled the narrative. But with the advent of social media and all of us being able to have these platforms and have a voice to counter what they're saying and debunk some of the lies and all of that stuff. Let me close some of these tabs. Let's see. Share this tab instead. Is this it? Yeah. All right, let me close this one. All right, bear with me, family. I just don't want the stream to be freezing up or crazy like that. I had to close some of them tabs. But yeah, now they got to contend with people like us. So they trying to clean it up a little bit. They're not just doing all out attacks, blatant attacks like that. They're trying to clean it up and they're trying to codify the language a little bit more. Said they should do an album together. That's not being a Nas fan, telling the truth. I'm from New Orleans. Music is music. Got to tell the truth. Facts. Wayne and Nas are genius. Elliot Wilson started this shit back with the It Was Written review. Who was Elliot Wilson writing for at that time? Was it Vibe? I might have to pull that up because you're right. You're right. It all started with It Was Written. You're absolutely right. The Nas slander started with It Was Written. What magazine was Elliot Wilson writing for in 96? I might have to pull that article up. Nas brought the bars, Wayne brought the swag. Okay. I can see that. Mike Williams said it's 5 mics. Shout out to Mike Williams. I agree with you, homie. There's no skips on this album. Not only is this album my favorite out of the 6 albums he did with Hit Boy, obviously it's the best out of the Magic series, but it's even better to me than all 3 of the King's Disease. And I love all of these albums, by the way. The feeling that this album gives me, I didn't even think it was possible for music to make me feel this way again. To be honest with you, let me minimize that for a second and talk to y'all. Let me minimize that for a second so I can talk to y'all. I didn't think it was possible to get this feeling about music anymore. I thought I kind of aged out of that point where I would be so blown away by the music. I didn't think that could happen anymore. I thought I kind of aged out of it. I thought, back then it was just so amazing because, I was much younger, not as knowledgeable about the world and stuff like that. So it was a lot of gems. It was a lot of game that was being given to a young man. So of course I'm gonna be blown away mentally. And so I'm not thinking I could get that feeling now as a grown man, as a seasoned grown man. I didn't think it was possible. And I've been getting great feelings all throughout the Nas and Hit Boy collabs. They all are great albums to me, and they've given me replay value and all of that stuff. But this one really took it to another level. Not only do I have it ahead of all the other Hit Boy projects, I have it in his top 5 of all time. And so I know a lot of y'all not going to agree with me on that. I'm not looking for people to agree with me. My relationship with Nas's catalog is personal. Most people just wouldn't understand. My relationship with Nas's catalog is personal. This thing has gotten me through a lot of things, a lot of tough times in life. That catalog has brought me through. And so I know what these projects and these albums have done for me. And so they're placed where they're placed at specifically based on my experience. Not to say that that means my order is absolute and these are the best Nas albums. It may not be the best. He's really competing with himself. There may be other albums that's better than some of my favorites within the catalog, but these ones are my favorites for nostalgic reasons. You know what I'm saying? It has become the soundtrack to my life during certain times. And so certain albums mean more to me for different reasons than just the music itself. You know what I mean? And so this one, I have it very high already. It hasn't even been a whole week. And it's already in the top 5 Nas albums for me. Let me see what y'all talking about over here in the chat. I'm going to get to the article in a minute. Hold on. Let me see. Now, they love It Was Written. These people are a joke. Right. If you remember, when it was the 25th anniversary of It Was Written, all of these same people, all of these same entities were writing articles about It Was Written in a whole new light now. They got to give it up now because everybody know that's a classic. Everybody know that's a classic. One of the most creative LPs ever to hit stores. And they put out nothing but hit pieces when that album came out. They put out nothing but hit pieces when that album came out. Shout out to my co-host, Nicety Girl, in the digital building. Am I frozen or am I good? Yellow Nigga Wilson wrote for Source. He was in the Source back then? Okay. Yeah, he did It Was Written view and a Reasonable Doubt review. Compared Insane. All of this to protect Jay-Z has been an agenda. I don't think I'm going to have time to do that today, but I might do a broadcast just comparing those 2 articles. The one that Elliot Wilson wrote on It Was Written and the article that he wrote on Reasonable Doubt. Both of them came out in 96. I might do another broadcast just breaking down those 2 articles right there. That's interesting. I don't remember his coverage on Reasonable Doubt, but I definitely remember the slander from It Was Written. I need to reconnect with Sincere regarding the Bridging the Gap dinner. Yeah, hit me up. Hit me up. I want to know what that's about. That sounds interesting. A lot of people think it's a top 5 Nas album, and anyone who doesn't is a retard. I wouldn't say they're a retard. People have their own experiences with the music. People like music for different reasons. You know what I'm saying? The KD Magic run is one of my favorite eras in hip hop in a while. It's been exciting. Waiting for the next one. It's like, dang, it's over. Yeah, I agree. I agree. We've been blessed. We've been blessed over the last 3 years. He started the Source, not sure when and where. He wrote the critique. He started the Source. I don't remember that. I remember Dave Mays. I know Dave Mays and what's his name? The dude from Boston. Thought that was their thing. Elliot Wilson was there in the beginning though. Rap Radar. Yeah. Elliot Wilson's from Rap Radar. The soulfulness in this album is beautiful. His perspective on the way he approaches concepts makes his music timeless. Ego Trip. He was writing for a magazine called Ego Trip. Yup. Looking at it now, it was Ego Trip. Okay, Ego Trip. Ego Trip. Somebody drop the link in the chat for me. Drop the link to that article in the chat for me, that Ego Trip article. We might have to go through a little bit of that today. I appreciate y'all, by the way. Now, let me get this up here. Is my stream good, y'all? Is my stream good? Am I choppy? Let me know. So this dude in the DX, again, his name or something like that. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I should have highlighted the parts I wanted to get to, but whatever. I'm just going to read through some of this. So on September 11, 2011, Hit Boy put it into the universe that he was going to produce a Rihanna single and 3 songs on a Nas album. What he initially manifested 12 years ago has developed into a legit musical bond unseen before from a young hotshot producer and a grizzled legendary rapper. I don't know how he's using that term, grizzled. I don't know what that means. In just 3 years, Hit Boy and Nas have created 6 albums and 2 trilogies, totaling 80 songs. Magic 3 is the final album between the two, released on Nas's 50th birthday as a symbol of aging gracefully with no time limit to his success. Now, that's a great introduction to the article. You know what I'm saying? I forgot to read y'all the headline, though. Listen to the headline. Nas and Hit Boy's Magic 3 is more cliffhanger than grand finale. I didn't get that. I didn't get that at all from this album. What y'all think? Because, by the way he postures himself in this article is as if he's speaking for Nas fans. He's writing this article as if he has his finger on the pulse of Nas fans and what we want and what we expect from him. This is how he's positioning himself in this article. Like he's an expert on what Nas fans want from Nas, and he's not. He's way off. Yeah, it didn't feel like no cliffhanger at all. It felt like a grand finale, like my brother Azim said in the chat. It felt like a grand finale, especially with the outro, with the 1-800 Nas and Hit outro, you know, with them rolling the credits at the end, shouting out everybody, you know what I'm saying? All throughout the album, he's speaking on turning 50, being a half a century. So it's a celebration of the 50 years of hip hop. It's a celebration of him turning 50. It's a celebration of the collaboration, the closing out of the collaboration between him and Hit Boy. It's all of that. And you feel that throughout the album, but especially at the end. So I don't know what he's talking about with this headline here. But let's get to some of this. Let me see. I want to skip some of this. Y'all bear with me because, like I said, I didn't highlight the parts that I wanted to point out. Magic 3 is the final parting gift for Nas, for fans, as Nas says goodbye for now to this producer-rapper pairing. The album represents a milestone for Nas reaching 50 during 50 years of hip-hop, an audio journal of his accomplishments, his reflections on surviving life and lessons learned, reveling in Black excellence and his dedication to the art form by bucking the trends. Very true about Nas. He's done that his whole career, not just with these projects, but he's done that his whole career. His dedication to the art form by bucking the trends. And he even mentions that on this album, something he said about the art versus the trends. I forgot the line, but he got a line about that on here. Where is it? Magically mostly okay. But aside from a few confessions and a song that acts as an acknowledgement section, Magic 3 mostly just sounds like another solid Nas and Hit Boy collab. Not according to me and most people I'm hearing from. And because not only have I been listening to the album over and over again, I've been listening to it in different ways because, there's a lot of content creators here on YouTube. Some of y'all might be watching this right now or checking this out on the replay who do like what I did. I did a reaction to the Nas album when it came out. I did a live reaction to it on here. And so I've been watching other people do their live reactions and give their reviews. Shout out to According to Hip Hop. I love their coverage on hip hop and Nas specifically. There's a brother named Ease on here whose channel I really like. He does a lot of great Nas content. This father and son, this white kid and his father, I forgot the name of their channel, but I've been actually binge watching their channel a lot. They do reactions to a lot of great albums, and I find their perspective very interesting. So I've been watching that father and son a lot too. And so I've experienced this album in the short amount of time since it's been released. I've experienced this album on multiple levels because I had the live reaction on here with y'all, and then I listened to it by myself in the loudspeakers, out loud with the speakers. I listened to it in the headphones. I listened to it in the car. I took a long ride to Charlotte the other day, you know what I'm saying, and back. So on the drive to Charlotte and on the drive back to Charlotte, bumping it over. And I also was listening to Diddy's album, which Diddy's album is fire too, by the way. I would recommend Diddy's album. Y'all should go check out Diddy's album. I like his joint too. But yeah, listening to it in the car, listening to it at work, and watching these reactions on YouTube, listening to it with the people doing their reactions and doing their breakdowns. And so I'm getting their take and their perspective along with what I'm already picking up on my own. You know what I'm saying? So I got my mind pretty much wrapped around this album where I feel comfortable saying that I put it in top 5 of all Nas's albums of all time. You know what I'm saying? And so I forgot why I was talking about all that. I just went on a little tangent. But what did I just read? Something I just read. I was going somewhere with what I was saying. He said, he said it sounds like another, what'd he say? It mostly sounds like another solid Nas and Hit Boy collab. Yeah, I was disagreeing with that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And so he says, but without a doubt, their least interesting material of the series. He says this is their least interesting material of the series. I'm telling y'all, this is the best album by far out of the series. And the series is great. Magic 3 was hard to top. The first Magic was hard to top. These are great albums that they made. There's no weak albums in none of these trilogies. But this one, he said it's the least interesting of this series. That's crazy. He said, look, listen to this. Listen to this. This album lacks new direction and feels like leftover tracks from Magic 2 packaged together as an add-on. Now, Magic 2 and Magic 2 and Magic 3 are like night and day. Those albums are nothing like each other. From a production standpoint, even though it's in the same series, it's not even the same conceptually. Because in Magic 2, like I said, production-wise, it's a whole different palette. It's different than anything that him and Hit Boy, it's the most different out of everything that they created together. It's the most different out of them. He got Nas in a whole new pocket, rapping different ways, different cadences and all of that stuff on the Magic 2 album. And then on the Magic 2 album, like I said, conceptually, they actually lean in to the Magic concept more. You know what I'm saying? The Who song, the Black Magic song, the Irvin Magic Johnson song, a lot of different references to magic tricks and abracadabra. They got a song called Abracadabra. They leaned more into the Magic concept on 2 than they did on 1 and 3. On 1 and 3, the album is just kind of called Magic. They didn't really lean into the concept of, hey, these sound like leftover songs from Magic 2. I don't know where you get that from. sir. I don't know where you get that from. Top 5 hours, excellent. That's what I got to do. Listen to it in the truck. Yeah, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. I agree with my brother. This is the game they play. Joe Budden silent, CTG silent, Hot 97 silent, all major platforms silent, but they hip hop. 3 years. They're not giving this the proper coverage. You're absolutely right. Who said that? Brian Larkins. You're absolutely right. You know what I'm saying? They give it a blink and you'll miss it mention throughout this whole entire 3-year process of them releasing all of this music. 6 times in 3 years. And all of these people mentioned. They give it a blink and you'll miss it mention. Now, I know Nas, he kind of shies away from the media anyway. He doesn't do a lot of interviews. He doesn't care to appear on a lot of these platforms. He's not really concerned about how well the album does these albums do numbers wise. He's in a different place in his career where he's not making this music to try to sell the most records, to try to be number one on the charts and all of that stuff. He's making this music just because he's having fun and he's inspired at this point in life, you know, all that he's accomplished throughout his career as an artist and as a businessman. He doesn't have to depend on music for his daily bread. It's truly based out of his love for the culture, his love for the art form. He has become a caretaker of the culture. You know what I'm saying? Getting involved with the Hip Hop 50 thing, doing the thing with the Hip Hop Museum, the documentaries that he's did, Bismarcky and Video Music Box and others. They have, y'all know, I see I'm freezing up a little bit here. Shout out to Ayman Islam. Shout out to Ayman Islam. My stream is a little janky here. I'm trying to slow down my speech to let the stream catch up. Y'all let me know how I'm doing. Y'all type a number 7 chat if I'm coming through loud and clear. Type a number 7 in the chat for me. These little glitches is fucking the game up. Okay, so I'm good on y'all end. It looks good on y'all end. On my end, it looks like I'm freezing up. As long as I'm coming through loud and clear for y'all, then I'll just keep going. I'll try to ignore little glitches I see on my end, and I'll just keep going. And I see a couple of 7s in the chat. I must be good to go. I must be good to go. Some people are saying it's choppy. It's not clear yet. Oh, it's a little shaky. Yeah, okay. It's a little shaky. I don't know. It's been doing this lately for some reason. I don't know, man. I got my things here. It says my connection. It says I have a great connection. Everything is working as it should. I don't know why it's choppy like that, man. The visual is choppy, but the audio is smooth. Okay. Okay, I could deal with that a little bit too. Thank you for that. I could deal with that a little bit too. So I lost my train of thought, but let me get back to the article. Unless one of y'all can remind me what I was saying exactly. Yeah, the video is hella choppy, man. I don't like this. Especially if I'm reading the article, I can't tell if it's glitching up or not. If I'm reading the article. Yes, I'm about to get to that, Chris. I see Chris read the article already. Yes, I'm about to get to that. He trying to put a target on this man's back. Um, Let me see where I was at. This album lacks new direction and feels like leftover tracks from Magic 2 packaged together as an add-on. That's complete nonsense right there. That sentence is complete hogwash right there. For a franchise coming to an end, the songs chosen for Magic 3 don't satisfy enough to believe they're hanging their jerseys up in the rafters for good. I believe them. They say this is their last one. I believe them. They may work together, but this I don't. If they say they're not doing another full project together, I believe them. Now you never know what happens in the future. You know they could get together and it just happens like that, even though they may not be planning to do that. But that's my thing. I believe what they say, and the way the album it feels like a finale. So that doesn't mean it's not a quality project. See, this is what I mean by they try to clean their shit up. They don't go all out with the slander and the attacks because they know people like us. So they have to go some type of plausible deniability to say, no, this is not a hit piece. Look what I said right here. Doesn't mean the album is not a quality project. So this is what they're gonna say. Well, it's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. No, it's not just your opinion. It's deeper than rap. And the through line of Nas reflecting on turning 50 does add a little bit of differentiation between the other entries. So now he's saying it does have a different theme based on him keep talking about the fact that he's turning 50. All throughout the album, he's mentioning turning 50. He's celebrating turning 50 all throughout the album. And so he's saying that differentiates it from Magic 1 and Magic 2. But he just said it sounds like leftover tracks from Magic 2. That don't make sense. Chopping up with beat breaks for him to flow seamlessly from one subject to the next. But his signature knock on these beats, superhero status, fire. Blue Bentley, fire. Never Die, featuring Lil Wayne, I'm saying fire, by the way. That's not in the article. I'm saying these tracks is fire. That's not in the article. Never Die, featuring Lil Wayne, Jodeci member, are much more. That's a possibility because when you listen to the album, it does sound very intentional that they made this to be a finale. And so it's possible that a couple of the songs were made, mind you, Magic 2 came out less than 2 months ago. It wasn't even a month and a half before they dropped Magic 3 after they dropped Magic 2. So it's very much likely that some of these songs were worked on at the same time, but they were being strategic about placing which songs on which album. That's how you make albums. That's how you come up with the sequencing and all of that for albums based on the message that you're trying to convey, the concept that you're trying to achieve with the album, the sound, the sonics. You're taking these songs, put them over here. This is for 2. This one right here is going to be for 3. Taking these over here, put it for 2. This one that's going to be on 3. The album, no. Strategically making this album to be the finale. And so that's why they chose certain songs to be on there because it felt that way. So he says they're much more front facing, like he was saving them for this moment. Maybe he was. Hit has clearly established possibly the most trust any producer ever has with Nas. He meant to put had with Nas. He's supposed to be a writer, but I got to correct his grammar and all of that stuff, even though, I'm a nigga with the GD. But Hit has clearly established possibly the most trust any producer ever had with Nas, leading to the Queensbridge rapper being comfortable with revealing untold thoughts and feelings that he may have once kept off record, evidenced by his confessions on I Love This Feeling. Ask if I'm ever told you that. So he's saying Hit Boy got Nas more comfortable to reveal certain things more than any other producer has been able to get Nas to do. And that simply is not true. If you're a Nas fan, you know he's always shown vulnerability. He's always been very transparent, talking about his marriage, his family life. You know what I'm saying? Very, very, very personal all throughout his career. He's let us come in to his world, you know, and give us his innermost thoughts. This is the thing that Nas is known for. These are the things that make Nas great. So that's nothing new for him. That's not something that Hit Boy was able to bring out of him. You know what I'm saying? That's just what he's been doing his whole career. Said he was the most trustworthy. One of many new revelations. He puts on saying, you know, I've had thoughts of leaving the game before. I just wasn't making a campaign about it. You know, some of the breaks that I've taken, I thought maybe I'll hang it up. I've had those thoughts throughout my career, but I never went on a campaign about retiring. That's all he's saying. That's not like some time. Hit Boy pushes Nas to unpack the meaning behind turning 50 using inventive sample loops and beat switches like on Japanese soul bar to spill his heart out. Side note, Hit Boy got the best beat switches hands down. He's the best at switching the beat hands down. Nobody's fucking with Hit Boy. Period. When it comes to that, oh man, it's beautiful. When those beat changes come, it wasn't just the histories. Hold on. Talk about the represent thing. Okay. Nipsey thing. Storytelling. Yes. Now, this part right here. It's hard to offer constructive criticism to an artist such as Nas who explicitly addresses none favorite songs on the album. I don't really have a favorite song. It's hard to pick a favorite song off of this album, but Tis is definitely a standout track for me because my son loves it. Shout out to my son 7, my 8-year-old. That's his joint. He loved that joint, and so just watching him and the things that he like about the record makes me love it more. It gives it a special place in my heart. That was a side note. That Tis joint go explicitly addresses keyboard warriors and rap critics on Tisk, threatening violence to those who talk recklessly. He's trying to say that Nas is out here threatening writers who give bad reviews. He's trying to say Nas is issuing threats to people who give bad reviews. He did some real Karen shit right here. This is some real Karen shit right here. Y'all said I'm back choppy. Damn. Y'all said I'm back choppy. I've been talking for a long time. I don't know how long I've been choppy. A lot of damn, man. Y'all said I'm back choppy. What can I do? Let me try this. You know what I'm gonna do? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna stop sharing. Because I think when I'm not sharing, I get a better stream. So I'm gonna stop sharing and I'm gonna read the article off my phone. I ain't gonna be able to share the screen. I'm gonna just pull it up on my phone to read the article so that way it won't be so choppy. Right? I'm better now, right, guys? I'm better now, right? Y'all let me know. I'm gonna pull the article up on my phone. Y'all let me know if the stream is better now that I'm not sharing the screen. Let me know. And by the way, hit the like button, family. Let's get the likes up in here. Let's get them thumbs up going on in here. Share this out. Let people know that we are live and that my stream is not choppy no more. Because I see the numbers went down. Some people probably couldn't deal with the choppiness. So let them know that the stream is back and it's better. You know what I mean? Let them know that the stream is back and it's better, and so they could come back and tap in with us, man. We having a good conversation here. Let me find the spot where I was at. Okay, trying to find the spot where I was at. So I was reading this part right here, y'all. He says it's hard to offer constructive criticism to an artist such as Nas, who explicitly addresses keyboard warriors and rap critics on Tisk, threatening violence to those who talk recklessly. That was some straight up and down Karen shit right there. Trying to put a target on the guard back with shit like that. And they do this all the time to Nas. They always try to bring up, accusations about abuse toward Khalees. That's been thrown out there, unsubstantiated, by the way. Unsubstantiated rumors about him being abusive toward Khalees. A lot of these writers, they like to throw that stuff into these reviews and articles about Nas. They like to point out things like misogyny or whatever the case may be. These same writers, they write for some of these mumble rappers and some of these drill rappers and trap rappers and all of that, and they don't give none of that type of moral criticism when it comes to those rappers. They be talking about the most degenerate shit on the earth, but they don't say nothing. They don't criticize them morally about the content. You know what I'm saying? Nas will say something about a female. You know what I mean? He'll say something about being a don and smashing females or something. Oh, he's misogynistic. He's so misogynistic. Right. I don't believe that either. That nonsense about Khalees. And so, yeah, he's trying to put a target on Nas's back. And somebody said it in the chat. That part right there officially makes this a hit piece. That officially makes it a hit piece. You can't try to hide behind your opinion doing shit like this. But after this much material, he says, it's getting easier to poke holes in Nas and Hit's formula. So that just tells me, you just revealing to me that your intentions are to poke holes in the formula. You're looking for holes. It's not like the holes are glaring because it's airtight, if we're going to keep it real. You know what I'm saying? Both series is airtight. Ain't a lot of room for poking holes. But according to this guy, after this much material, it's getting easier to poke holes in the Nas and Hit formula. Lines like calling himself Chief Keef Cozart mixed with Mozart sounded like he's rhyming just because he's good at it, putting his interests first and stretching the imagination of what fans want to hear from him versus what they can tolerate. I don't even know what that means. And again, like I told y'all, he's trying to position himself as if he has his finger on the pulse of what the true Nas fans want from and expect from Nas. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm telling you this as somebody who has been a Nas fan since Barbecue. 9-1, 9-2, time flew. Out of the blue, time for a new young king to rule. Younger frame, older state of mind. Found my name on the page in your Quran. I learned that in 89. When I was slinging cocaine and baby nines, put it in rapping and gave y'all a way to rhyme. God guides us from public assistance to high rises. Chill, let me stop. That was just a little Nas tangent right there. I got a little Nas Tourette's. Little Nas Tourette's right there. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, he's trying to speak for people like me who are true Nas fans and say, what does this even mean again? Let me read it again. He says it's getting easier to poke holes in Nas and Hit's formula with lines like calling himself Chief Keef Cozart mixed with Mozart. Let me stop right there at that part. First of all, that's one of the standout lines on the album to me. That's on the song with him and Lil Wayne, I think. I'm Chief Keef Cozart mixed with Mozart. And he said, what you say, dope part? You said, no. He said, cold part was that Illmatic episode of Ozark. I think that's better than if I would have had co-starred. Some shit like that. He said, that's some of the illest lines on the album to me. Those are standout verses to me that he's trying to say he's just rhyming because he's good at it. What does that mean? Chief Keef Kozart, right. Ghetto Symphony, Chief Keef Kozart, mixed with Mozart. Sounded like he's rhyming just because he's good at it. What does that mean? We're all grateful that he's rhyming because he's good at it. Putting his interest first, he says, and stretching the imagination of what fans want to hear from him versus what they can tolerate. What does that mean? You don't know shit about what fans want to hear from him, and you damn sure don't know shit about what we can tolerate. Tolerate? This is not something that Nas fans have had to tolerate. Nigga, we have been blessed. Us Nas fans, those of us who have been arguing in defense of Nas being the greatest MC for damn near 30 years now. Yeah, for 30 years now. Those of us who've been having to have that argument for the past 30 years, we have been blessed with an arsenal of material to back up our goddamn argument. This is not something that we had to tolerate. He gifted us with an arsenal of ammunition. There's no more argument. The argument is done. I used to entertain arguments from the Jay-Z's of the world, from the Tupacs of the world. The argument is done. I'm sorry, family. Y'all can argue with your mama. Nas is the greatest MC of all time, and it's not even close. It's not even close. So tolerate, I don't know what he's talking about with that. I know some of y'all gonna say some bullshit in the chat. I'll read the chat in a minute to hear what y'all got to say. But I'm telling y'all, it's no more argument, man. Let me see. Versus what they can tolerate. On Pretty Young Girl, he outlines his refined interest in a woman he is pursuing, but it comes off more certified lover Nasir than cherry wine. So he says on Pretty Young Girl, he outlines his refined interest in a woman he is pursuing, but it comes off more certified lover Nasir than cherry wine. So he's saying fans want to hear cherry wine, but you're out here giving us some Drake shit. That's what he's trying to say. Your fans want to hear cherry wine, not this Drake certified lover boy approach that you're giving. Nah. When you listen to Pretty Young Girl, you know what vibes I get from Pretty Young Girl? Another one of my favorite MCs, Ghostface. I get Ghostface vibes from Pretty Young Girl, the way he approaches that story and that concept on Pretty Young Girl. Now, about Pretty Young Girl, since we're talking about Pretty Young Girl, when I first heard it, I liked the song right off the bat, but I was thrown off because I thought he was doing some type of concept, and I thought the Pretty Young Girl was a metaphor for something. And so I've been trying to catch it, because the thing that's thrown me off about that song is when it first comes on, he mentions New Orleans and Hurricane Katrina. And he's speaking about it like it's a woman, right? Let me pull up the lyrics real quick. Hold on. Can I get the lyrics real quick? Let me get the lyrics real quick. What song? Pretty Young Girl. Pretty Young Girl. Hold on. On Pretty Young Girl. Let me go to the outro. No, the intro. On Pretty Young Girl, he said, the levee's busted. New Orleans, a catastrophe. America, how long we got? There was a pretty young girl, the sample comes in. Is that you? He says. There was a pretty young girl. Hey, yo, anyway, there was a pretty young girl. With no longer delay, that boy Nasir and Chauncey. And so, starting off the song, talking about Katrina and America and all of that, made me think he was going into some type of concept with this pretty young girl. but it's not. You know what I'm saying? It really sounds like an open letter to somebody that he kind of got a crush on, like some chick that he came across that he was feeling. He really want her to hear this song and let her know, like, yo, like you the one. I'm checking for you. Holla at me. He even says it at the end of the song, like, yo, if you listening to this, you know what to do. Post this up, tag me and all that. Like he's trying to reconnect with somebody that he came across that he was feeling. That's what it sounds like. But I thought it was more to it. And I could still be missing something from it also, because I'm still trying to figure out why he started off the song talking about that. I agree, 100% facts on facts. Shout out to my dude, AIT, what's going on? Nas been my A1 or number one to KRS-One, been that way for me since Stillmatic to me. Okay, no doubt. So yeah, that was that. Let me get back to the article. So yeah, he said he was more certified lover Nasir than Cherry Wine. And for those that don't know, for those of y'all that's watching who not big Nas fans like that, Cherry Wine is a song with him and Amy Winehouse from the Life is Good album. Dope song, by the way. Go check it out if you don't know what that is. On Speechless Part 2, Nas raps about artificial intelligence, which is pretty bad, he says. AI is only here to replicate and control, imitating the original, then grab them a mold of the binary code. It's your patterns they stole. This my tactical flow, the one they can't redesign. You could redo the voice, but you could never read my mind. He's saying these are weak bars off the album. First of all, remember he revealed himself when he said the more music that they make is getting easier to poke holes into their formula. And so now he's going to try to find the weakest bars that he could possibly find to point out. When there's plenty of bars, I don't care who you are, if you listen to this album, there's plenty of bars you can pull out of here to highlight that are fantastic. But you're choosing to look for what you consider to be the weakest bars on the album. And then you failed at that. Because look what you're bringing up. First you brought up the line, the Chief Keef Kozart line, which is dope, which is bars. And now you bring up when he was talking about the AI. He said, AI is only here to replicate and control. Now, this is it's cool to touch on this in 2023. That's a big topic. We're really getting AI is really getting integrated into almost our daily lives now. You know what I'm saying? We really in that transition period where AI is going to become a part of our daily lives. And so Nas has always been with his finger on the pulse of the times throughout all of his albums. He's always talked about stuff that was going on during the times. He reflected the times in his art. So he's doing that here, and he's giving his take on it. The same way we all do on our Instagrams and our Facebooks and our Twitters and our podcasts and all that. We come and give our take on what we think about AI, our feelings and our opinions about AI. That's all he did here. You know what I'm saying? So he's telling you AI is only here to replicate and control, imitating the original and then grab them a mold of the binary code. It's your patterns they stole. So he's just saying how they're using you to build up the algorithm to teach the AI what to do. So the AI is just a replica of us, our behavior patterns. You know what I'm saying? He said, this is my tactical flow. So he's saying, since they come in with all this AI stuff and they redoing people's voices and making all these AI songs with rappers' voices and all of that, he's saying, this is my tactical flow. So he's constructing his rhymes now in a way that they'll never be able to copy with the AI. Because he says, this is my tactical flow, the one they can't redesign. You can redo the voice, but you can never read my mind. And so he's constructing the rhymes in a strategic manner to combat the AI technology, so that the AI technology is ineffective. You can redo the voice, but you can never read my mind. So yeah, it might sound like Nas's voice, but it will never be as good. You could never use AI and create an Illmatic. You can only get that from the genuine article. You could never, there's no prompt in the world that you could type into an AI that could create an Illmatic or a Magic 3 for that matter. They can't do it. You could redo the voice, but you could never read my mind. So he's trying to cherry pick these bars to be weak bars, but these bars are amazing. These bars are amazing. It's a perfect topic to mention. Absolutely. Watch what you're watching. Fox keep feeding us toxins. Stop sleeping, start thinking outside of the box and unplug from the matrix doctrine. Shout out to Muhammad's Truth in the building. Said that was your favorite verse of the whole song. Muhammad Truth said that was your favorite verse of the whole song. Yeah, this dude is tripping. Right. He left out the brilliant storytelling that's being done on this album. You know what I'm saying? He left out a lot of stuff. He didn't even mention the Wayne verse, which is a standout moment on the album. And by the way, y'all didn't respond to me. I asked y'all who y'all think had a better verse, Nas or Wayne. I actually give the edge to Wayne. On my initial time hearing it, when I did the live reaction, I even said Wayne had a better verse. Then the more I listened to it, I started to question that because Nas' verse is pretty dope verse. Nas' verse is better than what I originally thought it was. I was thinking it was a light verse for Nas, but no, Nas went in. Nas snapped on his verse. But Wayne, I give Wayne the edge on that song. Wayne had a better verse because it was just airtight. That cadence that he did, the fact that he stuck to the same pattern and rhyme scheme throughout the whole entire verse, it's just airtight. Every single bar. Whereas Nas, his verse starts off a little slow and then it builds up. You know what I'm saying? It builds up until the bars come in towards the end of the verse. You know what I'm saying? Where Wayne's verse from end to end is airtight. Wayne flow. I think somebody earlier said they give Wayne the swag, but Nas the lyrics. I can see it from that perspective too. But I just overall give Wayne the edge on that joint, by the way. What else did he say in this bullshit? He said, when you claim you're both old New York and new New York, like on the Lil Wayne and Sister Never Die, it offers a chance to update your lyrical content. So when you claim that you're the old New York and the new New York, he's saying, if you're saying that, then you should be able to update your lyrical content. But you just criticized him for talking about AI, which is extremely up to date. He's talking about turning 50. He's talking about, life insurance and doing business and, giving you a perspective from a 50-year-old man. He's not talking like a 17-year-old kid that wrote Illmatic. So how much more update do you want to get? How much more updated do you want to get with the lyrical content? He said it offers a chance to update your lyrical content. Huh? I beg your pardon, sir. However, Nas should know his audience enough that they want to hear him bring rap justice and rap the same way as he was back on the block, not these half-baked bars about the bleak future of the music industry. So he contradicts himself right there. And again, trying to speak for Nas fans, which he has no idea what we want from Nas and what we expect from Nas. Oh, we want him to sound like the same Nas from the block. He's saying Nas knows his fans want him to rap like the same guy from the block. They don't want to hear this. What did he say? These half-baked bars about the bleak future of the music industry. What? Nas should know his audience enough that they want to hear him bring rap justice. Bring rap justice, that's a reference to the song Made You Look off the Godson's album. All right? So he's saying we trying to keep Nas stuck back in that era. We don't want him to evolve and grow. We don't want to hear the evolution of Nas. We want him to stay like he was. Not true at all. Not true at all. But look how he contradicted himself. Because he says, if you're saying you're the old New York and the new New York, why don't you update your lyrical content? So right there, he's calling him out saying you need to update your lyrical content. Get off that old shit. Then he turns right around. Mind you, I think I said this in the beginning of the broadcast. This Eric, whatever his name is, guy that wrote this article, I believe he's a white Latino. He looks like a white Latino to me. I don't want to pull the picture up because I don't want the stream to start getting janky again. But I tweeted his tweet on my Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter, I tweeted the tweet where he put this article out. So you guys can go look at that and see what he looks like. But I think he's a white Latino dude. And so we know how the white supremacists take both sides of the argument, right? Shout out to Neely Fuller. Shout out to Neely Fuller. We know and understand that the white supremacists love to take all sides of an argument. And so he says, if you're the old New York and the new New York, you should be able to update your flow. And then he turns right around and says, your real fans want to hear you bring rap justice and rap the same way, like you was back on the block. How you gonna contradict yourself in the same? Is that the same sentence? Now I should know his audience enough that they want to hear him bring. It's not the same sentence, but it's the same paragraph. It's the same paragraph where he contradicts himself. They left out no tears because that is what Kanye West was supposed to do, but Hit Boy did it for Nas. No Tears might be my favorite song. I love No Tears. No Tears might be my favorite song. That's brilliant. When the younger self is talking to the older self, talking back to the younger self. That might be my favorite joint if I got to pick one today. Yeah, this guy is a joke, man. Let me see. On the closer, hold on. Let me see. Did I skip anything? All right. On the closer, 1-800 Nas and Hit. Nas compares the King's Disease and Magic series to the box sets of Star Wars and Fast and Furious franchises. The number is on an infomercial for fans to call them and leave a message, but letting them know when they should return. It's a celebratory song in nature, a victory lap to allow credits to roll. As the song closes out, he thanks everyone involved in making of these albums, similar to J. Cole's Note to Self and Kanye's Last Call. And that's the end of the article right there, which talk about a cliffhanger. That's how the article ends right there. He's talking about, and remember the headline says Nas and Hit Boy's Magic 3 is more cliffhanger than grand finale. But talk about a cliffhanger. Look how the article ends. Am I at the end? Where is it? Everyone involved in the making of these albums, similar to J. Cole's Note to Self and Kanye West's Last Call. What a way to wrap it up there. So that's that article, right? Definitely my favorite. Nas content should be the last thing in question. Facts. But let me go back in time just to remind y'all a little bit about some of these hit pieces. And did y'all give me the link to the Elliott Wilson piece? Did y'all give me a link to that? I'm gonna go back to KD1 real quick. And by the way, I think we talked about this on our Sunday program that just passed. I think me and Nice D talked about the founder of the Rolling Stone. He came out recently talking about he got a book coming out about rock and roll, and he interviewed nothing but white dudes for this book. And he says that black people are not articulate enough, are not smart enough, intelligent enough to articulate rock and roll music. So he didn't interview no black people for his book. This is the founder of Rolling Stone. And so like I told you, these hit pieces have been written on Nas for his whole career, going all the way back to it was written. '96, It Was Written came out. And 1996 is a pivotal year in hip hop. A lot of great albums came out that year in 1996. You got All Eyes on Me. You got Machiavelli. You got It Was Written. You got Reasonable Doubt. You got Iron Man. You got The Score. You got The Coming, you got Hell on Earth, you got The War Report. I think The War Report might have came 97. It could have been late 96. But yeah, 96 was crazy year for album releases, number one. But it was also a pivotal year in hip hop that kind of defined a turning point to where it really became more mainstream. Hip hop really burst deeper into the mainstream during that time. And it also kind of drew a line between mainstream hip hop and what was considered underground hip hop. Right? This is where the powers that shouldn't be began to really take the reins and redirect the culture and steer the culture the way that they wanted to go. They started to make all of these categories to divide and conquer like they always do. You were either popping, bling bling, commercially successful rapper. You were underground backpack rapper. Backpack rapper kind of had a negative note connotation to it. You know what I'm saying? Gangster rap and kind of like bling bling rap was being promoted heavily. The most over the top gangster shit and the most decadent over the top bling bling shit was being promoted heavily. The guys who had substance and lyricism and all of that stuff, the things that Nas exemplifies the most, they were getting marginalized as militant rappers, backpack rappers. They were getting put into these little boxes and not given the budgets and the shine and the attention that the other stuff was getting. And so 96 was that turning point. And so this is where the hit pieces come from with Nas, because Nas represents a certain thing that they were trying to marginalize. But he comes out with this album. It was written, and the album is brilliant. It's everything that we came to love from Nas based on Illmatic and the stuff that came leading up to Illmatic. But it was more polished. The song structure was much. There's a contingency of people who say it was written is better than Illmatic. There's a lot of people from my era and even people younger who have gone back and listened and done the homework. But there's a lot of people from my era whose opinion has always been that it was written is actually better than Illmatic. Right? And to me, that's a good argument. I have them at 1 and 2. I got Illmatic at 1. I got It Was Written at 2. But they tried to say that this was Nas selling out the culture. This was Nas abandoning the grassroots and abandoning the streets for commercial success. But no, he managed to maintain what we came to know and love him for, while adding the elements necessary to achieve commercial success, which was masterful. It was masterful. And so they had to destroy it because it doesn't align with the narrative that they want to push, which is if you want to be successful, if you want to achieve commercial success, you got to rap about the bitches and the hoes and the money and the drugs and the killing and the shooting. That's the only way that you're going to be successful. If you're going to drop knowledge and have substance in your rhymes, you can do that, but you're going to be like these marginalized backpack rappers over here. Nas defied that. Nas, that's the thing that makes Nas the best MC, because he embodies the best of all of that. He embodies the best of the underground backpack rappers, the gangster rappers, the bling bling rappers. He has all of that inside of his toolbox. You know what I'm saying? That's what makes him the best MC. So, where was I going with this? Talking about the Rolling Stone. So I told you the guy came out with the articles were coming out recently about the guy from Rolling Stone saying that black people couldn't articulate rock and roll like that, right? They weren't intelligent enough to articulate rock and roll like that. So when the first King's Disease came out, Rolling Stone did their own little hit piece on Nas when the first King's Disease came out. Let me read to you some of what they wrote. I mentioned Machiavelli. I definitely mentioned Machiavelli. Can't talk about 9-6 without mentioning Machiavelli. Cannot talk about 9-6 without mentioning Machiavelli. Hold on, let me light my candle. How long I've been on here? I've been on here for a minute with y'all already. I appreciate y'all rocking with the God. Where's my lighter? I don't even have my lighter. I appreciate y'all rocking with me. I ain't done cooking yet, though. Y'all make sure that y'all hit that like button, that share button, subscribe, and all of that good stuff. I ain't done cooking. Let me light my candle, and we're going to get into this Rolling Stone article. This Rolling Stone hit piece. This is from when the first King's Disease dropped. The first King's Disease, I loved it, and I love it. I loved it when it dropped, and I love it. I still play it. I still play the first King's Disease. What's going on, vintage clothing apparel? What's going on, family? Yeah, he elevated the game. He got better. So they gave it, Rolling Stone gave King's Disease 2.5 stars. Nas's King's Disease gets derailed by petty misogyny. That's the headline. They ain't hold no punches with this. The writer's name is Danny Schwartz. They ain't hold no punches. The headline says, Nas's King's Disease gets derailed by petty misogyny. The Queensbridge icon's legendary storytelling chops are undercut by his increasingly bad politics on his first album in 8 years. I don't think King's Disease was not his first album in 8 years. King's Disease came out in 2020. He had just did the Nasir album with Kanye West in 2018. And he dropped the Lost Tapes after that. So he did an official studio album in 2018 and dropped the Lost Tapes album after that. And then he did the King's Disease album. He's talking about his first album in 8 years. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. On his 1994 come-of-age masterpiece, Illmatic, Nas, they always make Nas compete with Illmatic. That's one of the unfair things that the media does with Nas that they don't do with no other artist. They weaponize Illmatic against Nas because they can't shit on Illmatic. They cannot shit on Illmatic. They have to give Illmatic its just due. And so they weaponize it. They give it props, but they say, yeah, what you're doing now ain't this. You've never done this again. You can't do another one of these. Everything that you do has to be compared to this, and it falls short. That's the thing that they all do when it comes to Nas. So his 1994 coming-of-age masterpiece, Illmatic, Nas rendered the sprawling Queensbridge houses and the thrills and despair of young black life in Dinkins era New York City with the detail and scale of Bach's Garden of Earthly Delights. He's never come close to making another Illmatic, but he's still mining the album's rich source material 26 years later. I just told y'all there are many diehard Nas fans who are of the opinion, and even casual Nas fans, who are of the opinion that Illmatic is better than it. I mean, that it was written is better than Illmatic. And those of us who disagree with that, we still respect it as a good argument. So to say that he's never done another Illmatic again, he's never been able to achieve that again, is just false. Stillmatic is held in high regard by Nas fans. It was given another 5 mics by the source too, by the way. Stillmatic was another instant classic that people compare to Illmatic. And I'm telling you right now, well, first of all, before I even say that, Magic number 1 was giving niggas Illmatic vibes. The first Magic album had niggas like, yo, is this the modern day Illmatic? But This article was written before that album came out, so I can't bring that up. Can't hold that against the writer because that album didn't exist when he wrote this. So let me pump the brakes on that. And I was about to bring up the Magic 3 album also, but again, let me pump the brakes on that because those albums didn't exist when he wrote this. But it was written and Stillmatic definitely existed. Right? So the high points on King's Disease, Nas's first full-length album since 2012, Wrong Again. Is he trying to say Nasir is not a full-length album because it was 7 songs? They didn't call it an EP. They didn't call it a playlist or none of the other shit. They called it an album. That was an album from Nas. The concept was to have 7 songs. That was part of the concept that Kanye was doing. He did Nas's album. He did Tiana Taylor's album, Pusha T's album, his own album, and another album with him and the fruity nigga. What's his name? I forgot his name. His name is not coming to me right now, but Kid See Ghost is the name of the album. And so all of those albums had 7 tracks on it. It was a concept that he was doing. So that counts as a full length. Peace was going on, Cool Keezy. Stillmatic was phenomenal and more comparable to Illmatic to me. Nigga's a great album as well for me personally. I agree with you on the Nigga album, Brother Ish. I have the Nigga album, the Untitled album, very high on the list for me, but that's for personal reasons. I understand why the general consensus or the majority of people don't hold that album up as high as I do. But on a personal level, yes, I fuck with that album heavy. Yeah, Kid Cudi, thank you, Big Lebowski, appreciate it. Are the songs when he revisits the formative experiences in the late 80s and early to mid 90s. Snapshots from those teenage years still come to him easily, and his lucid storytelling unspools in quarter verse vignettes. That's something that Nas always been good at. He could tell a story in like 3 or 4 bars, tell you a whole story, and then just start rhyming about some other shit. The opening lines of Blue Benz record an iconic opening scene in Belly. I used to be at the tunnel, 20 deep in the huddle, razors on us. That'll make skin bubble, more wet we guzzle. Chris Lady let me in a few times with nines. On car 85, the car service preferred by hustlers of Nas's generation inspires a summertime cruise down memory lane. New York, White Castle at midnight. Yeah. Nas's Black Pride and Righteous Anger, which animate much of King's Disease, resonate most when he draws a line between his present and pre-fame past by touching on the infamous 94 crime bill that cast young black men as super predators. Oh, super predators and under super predators. Yeah, he did mention that on the album. Yeah, the emotional trauma success can't fix. Corner executive, born in ghetto hell, where metal yell in the 2029. All right, cool. So he's just breaking down some of the bars on the album and all of that stuff there, giving his quick takes on some of the songs from King's Disease. King's Disease sometimes doubles as a Nas advice column. The nuggets of OG wisdom he attempts to dispense vary wildly in quality. They vary wildly in quality. So the wisdom he attempts to dispense vary wildly in quality. So he's basically saying he drops a few gems every now and then, but most of the time when he thinks he's sounding deep, he really ain't that deep. That's what he's trying to say right there. For every pearl, there is a turd. See, that's what he's trying to say. Like, yeah, you ain't deep like you think you is. Okay. Several turds arise when Nas treats multi-syllabic rhyme as its own end. The stupidest part of Africa produced blacks who started algebra. Let me read that again. So mind you, he's trying to say, yeah, every now and then Nas might drop a little jewel or whatever the case may be, but a lot of his attempts at having wisdom fail and fall short, is what he's trying to say. And then the example that he uses is when Nas says, the stupidest part of Africa produced blacks who who started algebra. And he's basically saying he treats the multi-syllabic rhyme as its own end. So he's saying you didn't say nothing right there. You're just doing the multi-syllable rhyme pattern, but you didn't really say anything right there. That's what he's trying to say. But he did say something right there. Something pretty heavy right there, in fact. He's saying the niggas that created algebra wasn't even the smartest niggas out of the bunch. That's what he's saying. He's saying that the niggas who came with algebra wasn't even the smart ones. We got that from the slow niggas. So imagine the genius that we really possess is what Nas is saying. So yeah, he's actually saying something pretty heavy right there, Mr. Schwartz. He's not just rhyming words to be rhyming words. Like he's trying to, he's saying that as if it's like some Cameron shit. I get computers putin and all of that type of shit. No shots at Cameron or whatever. I ain't trying to take no cheap shots at Cameron, but I'm just saying he's saying it like it was one of those. He contends on the title track on 10 points. The impulse to advise street dudes leads him into bland pastures. Get a lawyer, read your contract, and eat food. Again, trying to cherry pick the weakest bars they can find in the album. There's plenty of bars you could point to that are high tech, but you're trying to find the weakest denominator that you can find to highlight, to justify giving that album 2.5 stars. The biggest and most unmovable turd of all is Nas's petty misogyny. First of all, you shouldn't be talking about turds when you're talking about the God MC. You shouldn't have a theme in your article about the God MC about turds, meaning shitty bars. That should never enter into the equation when you're speaking about Nasir Jones. What kind of slander is this? What kind of slander is this? He says the most immovable turd of all is Nas's petty misogyny, which he had in the headline, while he spends much of King's disease doling out name checks to men of all stripes, billionaires, record execs, dancehall pioneers, basketball players, the Beatles, his boxing coach, his boys. He spends an equal amount of time wishing women would stay in their place. Now, on the first King's Disease album, when him and Hit Boy first got together, their intentions was to make an EP for Valentine's Day. They didn't even plan on giving us these 6 albums that we got. They were supposed to get together to make an EP for Valentine's Day. He wanted to make that's why you got songs on there with Anderson .Paak, which is one of my favorite songs on there. All Bad. Got the song on there, Replace Me, with who's on that song? Big Sean, and I think who's singing that hook? You're gonna to replace me. I'm gonna look for nobody else. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Leave it in the chat. The dude that's singing that hook. You got that on there. You got Car 85 on there. You got even the song with Lil Durk, The War Is Won. Right? So that's what the album was supposed to be. That was the intention of that album to begin with. And so throughout that album, you get songs like that where is pretty much dedicated to the ladies. He's catering to the ladies. He's bigging up women in a positive way on that album. And he's talking about dispelling the gender divide that they try to push in Black society. He's talking about Black men and Black women needing each other on that album. How we in the same boat and we need each other. And you know what I'm saying? And we shouldn't be at each other's throats. You know what I'm saying? He bigs up single mothers and all of that, but he stresses the fact that we need each other and we need families on that album. And this guy is saying, yeah, he spends a lot of time bigging up other men, such as billionaires, record execs, dancehall pioneers, basketball players, the Beatles, his boxing coach, his boys. He spends an equal amount of time wishing women would stay in their place. He takes a cheap shot at Doja Cat. A cheap shot? You trying to defend Doja Cat? Even Doja Cat didn't try to defend that. Nas on the song, which was the single from the album, or one of the singles, I think it was the first single, We Going Ultra Black. He said, he said, unapologetically black, the opposite of Doja Cat, because the story had just came out right before that dropped about Doja Cat being on that white supremacist website, kikiing and kakan with white supremacists talking shit about black men and black people. And she's done that multiple times. She's been on these white supremacist hangout sites, online hangout sites, kakan and kikiing with white men talking shit about black society and black men in particular. She's a bedwench. She with a white dude now. She's a straight up and down quintessential bedwench. And I give her credit as an artist. I think she has talent, by the way. She's pretty talented, you know what I'm saying? But she's a straight up and down bedwench. And Nas got at her about that. He said the opposite. He didn't even go hard. He said unapologetically black, the opposite of Doja Cat. And when Doja Cat, when they asked her about Nas taking a shot at her, she said, look, that's Nas. Nas can say whatever he want to say. That's Nas. What the fuck I look like arguing with Nas or trying to criticize anything Nas has to say? She said, that's the God MC. She gave him his props. She said, that's the God MC. He can say whatever he want to say. I'm just going to have to wear that one. She didn't even try to defend it. But this nigga here is trying to defend bedwench ass Doja Cat. Okay. He takes a cheap shot at Doja Cat, a woman he may or may not know. His indignation rises to a fever pitch on the definition when he arrives on the topic of Gayle King. So now he's trying to defend Gayle King, the TV journalist who brought up Kobe Bryant's rape allegations on the day of his death, which was disgusting. Yeah, he did bring that up. He said, a black male or female thing, a failed thing. No, before that, he said, some shit about what the fuck is up with Gayle King? A black male or female thing, a failed thing. So again, he's talking about the gender divide being whack, and people like Gayle King being used as the goddamn guard dog to go out there and push this type of gender divide on black society. Right? On the day that Kobe Bryant died, she was interviewing Lisa Leslie, I think, and she started asking about the rape allegations, which were unproven in court. The man was acquitted. The allegations were found to be unsubstantiated. It was years ago, before the man died, and on the day of his death, she brings that up. Yeah, he's supposed to criticize that. He's Nas. Nas has done that his whole career. Those are the things that I expect from Nas. When he wasn't doing that, that's when I was criticizing him and calling him out for not doing shit like that, or for being on the wrong side of the argument when it comes to certain topics. That's the shit that I criticized him before. You out here trying to defend Doja Cat and Gayle King. That tells you what this dude is all about. And with this publication, remember, this is the Rolling Stone. I just told y'all what the Rolling Stone said about black artists and their intelligence. Hold on. TV journalist rape allegation. Replace Me in All Bad, generic reflections on failed romances appear as calculated additions to the track list designed to show that he's had normal relationships in light of the allegations of domestic abuse his ex-wife Khalees aired against him in 2018. Unsubstantiated. And so he's saying Nas just trying to throw these songs in there to clean up his image because of these allegations. No, I told y'all, this was supposed to be an EP about Valentine's Day. That's the reason why those songs are on there. That's all that's about. Nas has vehemently denied Khalees's allegations, as well as those made by his ex Carmen Bryan, who wrote of their relationship in 2006. The next thing I know, I was being hit in the face with a closed fist. The impact of the blow was so fierce that I saw stars. So Carmen wrote that in her book. She did a tell-all book back in 2006, talking about Nas, Jay-Z, her relationship with Nas, Jay-Z, Allen Iverson, and all the niggas that she was fucking with. On King's Disease, he doubles down on these denials and advances a bizarre sense of male victimhood. Less than a minute into the album, he goes off on cancel culture and takes aim at Khalees, whom he believes fabricated her stories of abuse out of spite. Until the war is won, a performative tribute to black women, a performative tribute to black women. So he's saying he's not being genuine. Go listen to The War is Won. Him and Lil Durk. He got Lil Durk bigging up black women on the song. He's saying he wasn't genuine about this. Oh, man. He said, performative tribute to black women. He disavows coward men that were beating on you. Then mutters an aside, that was never me. And so he's saying that was taking shots at Khalees. He's saying that was him taking aim at Khalees. Because on the ad-lib, he said, never me. He said he despises dudes who beat on women. And on the ad-lib, he says, never me. That was never me, or something like that. Whether Nas doth protest too much is up for debate. Either way, he clearly feels sorry for himself. He also apparently does not see the irony of claiming some women want to slump him. I don't even know what he's referring to right there. At his best, King's Disease is a slick, Illmatic redux, a fresh portrait of Nas's now mythical hustler's years that expands his Queensbridge universe with new characters and anecdotes and finds him in vintage form as a rapper and storyteller. What? There's no mythical hustler years about Nas. That's Jay-Z. The mythical hustler years applies to Jay-Z. Jay-Z has the mythological hustler backstory. Nas doesn't have that. Nas has always been portrayed as the dude from the projects staring out the window, documenting everything that he sees. So I don't even know what he's talking about right there. At its worst, it is a misguided attempt to paper over abuse allegations and a stark showcase of his increasingly questionable politics when it comes to women. 26 years after Illmatic, Nas still has room to grow. That's the bullshit that the Rolling Stones wrote about King's Disease 1. Now, let's go back in time a little bit more, keeping it with the Rolling Stone, though. The Rolling Stone wrote something about it was written. Rolling Stone. Now, what did I just tell y'all about it was written? Khalees told the story, and Nas said they fought. That turned into Nas beat on her, right? Imagine if you knew that was a child, bruh. Imagine if you knew that as a child, bruh. Where's that quote from? Muhammad's Truth? Imagine if you knew that as a child, bruh. Where's that quote from? But what did I just tell y'all about It Was Written? One of the most creative LPs ever to hit stores. It's always been compared to Illmatic. Some people think it's even better than Illmatic. Some people think it's his best album. Back in 1996, the Rolling Stone gave It Was Written 2 stars. It Was Written got a worse rating than King's Disease. And this was written by a dude named Mark Coleman. So let's go into what the bullshit they was on in 96. Y'all still with me? Type a number 7 in the chat if y'all still with me. Literary skill is not the prime attribute of most hardcore rappers. Remember, this is the same media outlet, the Rolling Stone, where the founder just came out and said black people are not intelligent enough to articulate rock and roll, a genre that we invented, by the way. The magazine is called Rolling Stone, named after a song by a foundational black American blues rock and roll singer, really, Muddy Waters. That's where the name of the magazine comes from. But black people are not intelligent enough to articulate it, though. I want y'all to keep that in mind as we go through these Rolling Stone articles doing these hit pieces on Nas. He says literary skill is not a prime attribute of most hardcore rappers. So he's saying most hardcore rappers ain't that bright. They ain't that literate. These days, the main attraction in hip hop seems to be authenticity, not articulation. So it's all about being authentic. And so when they say authentic, they mean a caricature of hip hop, or a caricature of what's supposed to be hood. Right? He's saying that's more important than being literate. He said, let me read it again. Literary skill is not the prime attribute of most hardcore rappers. These days, the main attraction in hip hop seems to be authenticity, not articulation. So being articulate and having diction like Nas does is not valued as much as it is of just being what he quote unquote authentic. So he's trying to say sounding ignorant on the mic is valued more than sounding intelligent on the mic. Right. So let me see. So the second album from Nas is frustrating. It was written proves that this New York native from the borough of Queens possesses a phenomenal way with words and some savvy musical sense. You see that backhanded compliment right there? He's saying it's clear as day that this man is amazing with words and he has some musical savvy based on the It Was Written album. It's clear that this man is a wordsmith and he's a pretty savvy musician. But he's saying, but that doesn't have as much value in hip hop these days. That's played out. All of that smart stuff, being all musical and intelligent and all that, that's played out. That's what he's trying to say. Right? He said it was written proves that this New York native from the borough of Queens possesses a phenomenal way with words and some savvy musical sense. It's a pity that he doesn't put his verbal dexterity and powers of observation to better use. There's not many examples of somebody putting a better use to their abilities than what he did on It Was Written. There are a few examples that can compare to that. Oh, goodness. If I Ruled the World, Nas's current hit single, is a less than representative example of his talents. If I Ruled the World, y'all, they was trying to say If I Ruled the World was a hip Nas selling out. The song where he said, I open every cell in Attica, send him to Africa. Imagine smoking weed in the streets without cops harassing. Imagine going to court with no trial. Now, first of all, let's talk about the music. You got Lauryn Hill singing a Curtis Blow, doing an interpolation of a Curtis Blow song, singing the hook. If I ruled the world. It don't get more hip hop than redoing a Curtis Blow joint, right? And then the beat, what beat is that again? Is that Houdini? What beat is If I Ruled the World from again? I think it's a Houdini sample. I'm drawing a blank here. I think it's Houdini. So you sample Houdini and did an interpolation of, I think it was Houdini, and did an interpolation of Curtis Blow, but that ain't hip hop. That's what they were saying back then. Right? If I Ruled the World, Nas's current hit single is a less than representative example of his talents. It's more of a crossover con job. It was a crossover con job. If I Ruled the World, y'all. Amid the synth sweetening and the song's catchy chorus, Nas tips his hand and reveals his true vision. A place where we can raise our children in peace. Marijuana is legal. Cocaine comes uncut so we can make more money from it, and cops can't go undercover to make a bust. He's talking like all the rappers back then were MC Gusto from CB4. Right. Yeah, it was the One Love beat from Houdini. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. No doubt Nas would shrug off the gangster tag and claim that he's just telling it like it is. Certainly, he strikes a note of creepy realism in his stories of heavyweight dealing and literally cutthroat competition, the setup, shootouts, affirmative action. These songs are Nas flexing his storytelling ability, and they're very much fictional. They don't even come across as him talking about some shit that's really going down in the street. They really come across cinematic, like he's writing a script or a novel or something. He's showcasing his skills not just as an MC, but as a writer. Nas is not just one of the best MC or the best MC of all time. He's one of the best writers, period. And he exemplifies that through his storytelling on songs like the ones he just mentioned. You know what I'm saying? So he's trying to say like, oh yeah, really Nas is just this gangster. You know what I mean? He tries to come across like he's a poet and he got all this wisdom, but he's really just another street thug. That's what the nigga is trying to say in this article. Which preaches different kind of equal opportunity are chilling in their how many grams to a kilo detail and utter immorality. So again, they try to hold Nas to this moral standard that they don't hold no other artist to. I bet you if I pull up Rolling Stone review on Reasonable Doubt, which was all about drug dealing, it was a drug dealer's tale. I bet you they don't hold Jay to that same type of moral standard. This is something that's only reserved for Nas, because Nas represents something different, something that they're trying to suppress and get rid of. They don't want Nas as an example of success, because that means you can have integrity, you can be artistic, you don't have to follow trends, you can maintain your integrity, I don't know if I mentioned that, and still be successful. They don't want that message, they don't want that image. If you're going to be successful, you got to be all about the money, drugs, and the hoes. But Nas is a slap in the face to that. Talking about him saying Pablo Escobar and all that. Let me see what else they wrote in this bullshit. Like his 1994 debut, Illmatic, it was written features Nas in the company of several producers, but the results too often blur into homogenous, half-funky soup. But there are exceptions. When Dr. Dre brings his light studio touch and backup vocals to the throwaway boast, Nas is coming, it comes as a relief from all the grim street scenarios. So first of all, nobody agreed with that statement back then. None of us agreed with that, what he just said about the production. The beats was dope on It Was Written. The media was criticizing him for working with Trackmasters. They were saying he was selling out, he was crossing over, because Trackmasters was known for making more poppy, radio, polished sounding songs, where Nas is more grittier. But Nas got them to produce some gritty joints on the album, as well as they got him to do more polished joint. It was a synergy that was created. You know what I'm saying? And the Dr. Dre joint was actually one of the more criticized songs from the album. Most people, from a production standpoint, have Nas Is Coming as a low point on It Was Written. He's trying to say that that's the only high point production-wise. We never felt like that back in the day. That was never the thing. Nas Is Coming was all right. The rest of the album banged. Right, exactly. If you know what I'm talking about. Nas Is Coming was all right, but lyrically, Nas Is Coming is crazy, and it also contradicts what he said too here, because he says, when Dr. Dre brings light to the studio, Nas Is Coming, he says it comes as a relief from all the grim street scenarios. Nas is coming through the crack window. No, in the black limo. Jack Daniels through the crack window. I don't remember the lyrics, y'all. I spot the fake, red dot his face like a Hindu. Snatch the symbol, tied his hands to, make example, substantial amount you owe to the fam, crew, firm affiliation, paper chasing, chips Closey, rich Pablo Escobano, sophisticado, blazing hollows like saddles. So it was still street grim tales on the song. So what is he talking about? He's still talking about tying niggas up and all of that. It's still mafioso-ish, the way he's talking on that song. He's way off. Okay. Gangstar's DJ Premier lays down a spooky jazz fusion groove on I Gave You Power. You better not say nothing crazy about I Gave You Power. All right. This time, Nas responds with a mind-blowing, sustained metaphor. Okay. Speaking as the voice of a gun, this extraordinary view of casual violence measures the exact dimension of a vicious circle. It might have took your first child, scarred your life, crippled your style. I gave you power, I made you buck wild. That's what makes the rest of It Was Written sound lazy and automatic. Just the latest blatant example of trashy tough guy talk. When Nas finally aligns his mind with his mouth, he'll truly be dangerous. So he couldn't front on I Gave You Power. And so he weaponizes I Gave You a Power against the rest of the album, the same way that they've continued to weaponize Illmatic against the rest of his catalog. Right? That's the bullshit that they've been on ever since It Was Written came out. And so there's one more article I want to pull up for y'all, and then I'm gonna close it out. From the Pitchfork. I think it's a King's Disease review I was looking at on Pitchfork. Pitchfork, King's Disease. No, not three. The first King's Disease, I think it was. I think this is it right here. King's Disease. Let me make sure this is the article I was reading. Hold on a second, y'all. Headline, King's Disease. Yeah, this is the article. All right, let me go through some of this with y'all, and then we'll get ready to close it out. The Queensbridge Legends' 13th album marks a retreat into a nostalgia act, comfort zone, one that suits him even as it yields diminishing returns. The Queensbridge Legends' 13th album marks a retreat into a nostalgia act, comfort zone, one that suits him even as it yields diminishing returns. First of all, I definitely wouldn't say he just stepped into a comfort zone with the first King's Disease album, just because, like I said, the way that it started off, it was supposed to be this lovey-dovey Valentine's Day album. Those songs being included on the album were really a departure from Nas. Nas doesn't have a bunch of songs like that in his catalog, especially not on one album. He do songs for the chicks here and there. It might be one or two songs on the album. But this one has a plethora of songs that were created just for that mood. So I wouldn't call that a comfort zone. I wouldn't say that they took a lot of chances on the first King's Disease like they did throughout the rest of the series, especially on Magic number 2. They took way more chances on KD 2, on Magic 2. Particularly those two albums, I would say they took the most chances with. Creative-wise, sonically, the direction of those albums, I would say they took the most chances on. And so I wouldn't say KD 1 was one of those albums, but it definitely wasn't him being in his comfort zone. Anyway, let's carry on. Vintage Closing. This moron is definitely trying to paint a negative narrative, not just about Nas, but about real MCs, period. Vintage Clothing. And that's exactly my point. the media onslaught against Nas is bigger than Nas. I said that at the beginning of this broadcast. It's about Nas specifically, but it's about what Nas represents on a wider scope. It's about suppressing true artists, true artistry and true lyricism, black excellence, musical excellence, and genius. It's about devaluing that type of genius. That's what the attack on Nas is all about. You 100% on point. I like Magic 2 also. I love Magic 2. I love Magic 2. I liked it when I first heard it, and then the more I played it, the more I fell in love with it. Magic 2 is dope. It's a dope album. It's a dope album. By all measures, the rollout of 2018's Nasir. So this is supposed to be a review about King's disease. He immediately goes back to Nasir. This is supposed to be a review about King's disease, and in the first line, you're talking about the Nasir album. By all measures, the rollout of 2018's Nasir, the fourth project of Kanye West's chaotic Wyoming summer, was a mess. First of all, I do have the Nasir album at the bottom of his catalog, but I like it though. The bottom of Nas's catalog is better than the top of some of your favorite MCs' catalog. You know what I'm saying? So I like that album. The Pusha T album that came out of that, the one with the Whitney Houston shit on the cover, what was that called? That's the name of that. But that album was fire. The Ye album, I like the Ye album, and I like the Kid Cudi album, and I like the Tiana Taylor album. All of those albums that Kanye did, it was like within a month, he put out all of those albums. He says Wyoming's summer was a mess, marred by Nas's lazy flows and conspiracy theories. Now, Nas was saying some weird stuff on there, you know, on some of them songs. He did say a couple of weird things that I criticized, and that a couple of things that just lost me completely when he said something about I think he said George Bush was black. I think he said something about George Bush being black. That kind of threw me off. I didn't know what he was talking about. And he said it was a couple of, I would say, pseudo facts on the Nasir album. There was a couple of pseudo facts on there that I don't remember exactly, but I remember at the time being like, The album also arrived under the troubling cloud of domestic abuse allegations. Here they go. Every article, they got to bring up these Khalees allegations, which are completely unsubstantiated from his ex-wife Khalees. Nas's 13th album, King's Disease, seeks a return to the cozy wistfulness of 2012's Life is Good, a late career opus which toured 80s stash spots and triumphant nights at the Apollo while ostensibly interrogating the dissolution of his marriage. The new album, so now, again, this is supposed to be about King's Disease. So far, you're talking about the Nasir album, and now you went all the way back to the Life is Good album. The new album marks a retreat into nostalgia act comfort zone, one which suits Nas even as it yields diminishing returns. There's desperation in the way Nas endlessly plumbs the scenes of his adolescence like a red-eyed wedding guest clutching your shoulder 3 hours into the reception and pleading, quote, remember? This is the rapper who cruised memory lane at 20, who at 28 excoriated peers unable to leave behind the emotional confines of their Queensbridge childhood. Yet by his late 30s, Nas had become so convinced of the importance of those years, the sanctity of cold crushed park jams, the unforgettable eyelashes on the girl down Vernon Boulevard, and an odd display of humility, less concerned with his own place in them. So he's saying Oh man, he's saying. Let me go back and unpack this little by little. There's desperation in the way Nas endlessly plumbs the scenes of his adolescence. So he's saying Nas is desperately clutching on to the days of way back when he was the man. Kind of like Nas ain't the man no more, and he's clinging on to the good old days when he was that guy. First of all, Nas is still that guy. Right now in 2023 at the age of 50. Just keeping it a buck, he is still that guy. He is still that guy. He is still held at a high regard as far as being the best MC of all time, having one of the greatest catalogs of all time, his business acumen, just being a fly nigga. Nas always been a fly nigga. The nigga still look 25. You know what I'm saying? So he's trying to say Nas is trying to clutch on to the good old days. Like the good old days never left Nas. And you can hear it all over these projects, how celebratory he is about how good his life is at this point. This is probably his favorite era of his life so far. He's not reminiscing on the good old days because he wished he could go back to that. He says over and over again, hold on. One of the albums, he got a line. On one of the albums, he got a line where he says, he's saying something about these being the greatest times. Damn, I can't remember the bars. He said, oh, and I don't like to reminisce because what we doing right now is really lit. So I don't like to reminisce. What we doing right now is really lit. But he takes you on memory lane just to remind you that he's still that kid from Queensbridge, that he could still, smell the project hallways. He could still hear the train tracks. You know what I'm saying? He's not that far removed where he can't restore that feeling that he's always been able to deliver. He's that and much more now. And he's enjoying this period in his life now more than ever. You could just tell. Talking about this desperation in the way that he plumbs through the scenes of his adolescence, like a red-eyed wedding guest clutching your shoulder 3 hours into the reception, pleading, remember? Like, remember me, guys? No, he's not doing that. He said, this is the rapper who cruised memory lane at 20. Right. Nas came out the gate with a mature album. Most artists, period, not just rappers, by the second or third album is when they start talking about this is my mature album. He came out the gate with Illmatic. 17, 18 years old, sounding like he was already in his 40s. Unable to leave behind emotional confines of their Queensbridge childhood. Hold on. This is the rapper who cruised memory lane at 20, who at 28 excoriated peers unable to leave behind the emotional confines of their Queensbridge childhood. So I think there he's talking about when he was getting that Prodigy and everybody on Destroy and Rebuild. You know what I'm saying? And so he's saying Nas is doing the same thing that he was criticizing them for doing. Nas had become so convinced of the importance of those years, the sanctity of cold crush park jams. So the fact that Nas goes out of his way to preserve the essence of the culture by reminding people about the park jams and how this thing all started, reminding people about the true essence of hip hop. He's saying, he's basically saying he's stuck in those days. He needs to leave it alone. Right? But of course, that's what they want. They don't want us to preserve our history and tell our own narrative, our own history. They don't want that. You saying this guy's an agent. I agree. You saying this, all of these guys from all of these articles that I've read tonight are agents, I believe. I'm 21 years past the 27 club. Say that. Say that. All right, so the park jams. He's saying stop talking about the park jams and all of that. Okay. Stop talking about the girl they used to like back in the days with the unforgettable eyelashes on Vernon Boulevard and all that. Why are you still talking about that, he's trying to say. So then he says, on Car 85, a summertime ride through the Koch era New York, Charlie Wilson's background vocals lend period-specific authenticity to Nas's vivid memories of White Castles at midnight, fish sandwiches, 40 ounces, and fist fights. In middle age, he's full-on evangelist for the lost city of his youth and for the days just before Illmatic changed everything. No, he said, I'm the old NY and the new NY at the same time. I'm the old NY and the new NY at the same time. By now, groaning about Nas's beat selection. By now, this is King Disease 1, y'all. He says, by now, groaning about Nas's beat selection is the rap fan equivalent of complaining about the weather. So he's saying Nas picking whack beats is just a given. So why I don't even got to mention that. You already know Nas picks whack beats. So I don't even got to mention that. That's what he's saying here. But Southern California native Hit Boy, best known for his credits on Niggas in Paris and Backseat Freestyle, acquits himself pretty well as the resident producer on King's Disease. Okay, so he's giving props to Hit Boy. Despite the synthetic sheen of his single-tracked pianos, digitized snares, and clapped drums, his beats are stately without defaulting into the prescriptive mood music Nas generally prefers. So again, backhanded compliments. Despite the synthetic sheen of his single-track pianos, digitized snares. So he just kind of gave Hit Boy some props and then turned right around and dissed him. He's saying, but at least it's better than the boring shit that Nas usually raps over. His audio templates have proven adaptable enough for the likes of Dom Kennedy and the SOB XRBE. He evokes an easy brightness on the Anderson .Paak collaboration, All Bad, one of my favorite songs on the album, by the way, and the ASAP Ferg featuring Spicy. Nothing jumps out as an anthem or a single. Spicy is a single. I'm sorry. All Bad, I can never play All Bad one time. So in that sense, it's anthemic or anthematic. What's the word? It's anthemic or anthematic. What's the word? Because when I play All Bad, I got to play it over and over again. Anderson .Paak, that hook, it's a great sing-along tune. And so that's what anthems are made of, being able to sing along to it. And so that would have been a great single from that album. Even the single that he did use, Ultra Black, that's a good single, and it's anthemic also. All right. Nothing jumps out as an anthem or a single, and it's hard to fathom which prospective consumer demos are mobilized by Big Sean and Lil Durk's appearances. So he's saying, oh, he just got Lil Durk and Big Sean on there to try to cater to a younger audience. Nas has evolved and made it look easy. Facts. Shit is crazy to hear what they are saying. Shit is sad and mad disrespectful. Facts. Facts, my nigga. Facts. Shaking my head. Nas is the GOAT. By far. All right. Just as relieving for those who suffered through Nasir. I know everybody didn't like the Nasir album that much. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have to suffer through Nasir. I still play joints off of Nasir. I still play the intro joint, the White Noise joint, Cop Shot the Kid, Everything with the Dream. There's another one, Everything, and there's another one. Like, out of the 7 songs, 5 of them bang. 5 of them bang. I think the thing about the Nasir album, people had certain expectations when it came to Nas and Kanye getting together. I think it didn't suit people's expectations, but that doesn't mean that it was bad. It's a good album. Like I said, I have it near the bottom of his catalog. You know what I'm saying? Because he's got so much great work. So it's not better than a lot of stuff that he's done throughout his career, but it's still good. So anyway, just as relieving for those who suffered through Nasir's arrhythmic vocals, the flow would seem to abandon Nas after Life is Good. So he's saying after Life is Good, Nas just hasn't been flowing well. Nas forgot how to flow. After Life is Good, Nas, After Life is Good, appears more or less restored on King's Disease. So he's saying getting swagger back a little bit on this one because everything he put out between Life is Good and this, his flow just hasn't been there. Even in his heyday, Nas would never have been mistaken for the most musical MC. Is this the same article where they said he has some musical? I think it was the Rolling Stone that just said they gave him his props for his musical prowess. But here they're saying, even in his heyday, he was never mistaken for the most musical MC. This is a man whose dad is a jazz musician. This is a man who grew up under the tutelage of a man who plays the trumpet. He's a jazz and blues musician. Nas's father, Oludara, he's a jazz and blues trumpeter. Nas was playing the trumpet as a little boy. Nas has worked with the greatest producers of all time. You name them, Nas has worked with them. Nas not musical. Nas, the thing about Nas is Nas has always gone out his way to take chances and to go against the grain. So he didn't pick beats that were trendy and easy to just score a hit and that everybody was automatically gonna like. He would pick, his beat selection would challenge the listener because it wouldn't be the ordinary run-of-the-mill stuff that you're used to hearing. It was always something different that was going against the grain. That's what true artistry is about. Mistaken for the most musical MC, but his ability to write a bass line conferred a smoothness to his hyper-literate bars. On Nasir, he's still talking about Nasir. The looseness of Kanye's capacious productions resulted in something akin to a poetry slam. Long gone are the nested, multi-syllabic rhyme schemes of the Illmatic to Stillmatic arc, but Nas sounds positively energized on Blue Benz. So he's not doing multi-syllable rhymes on King's Disease? Rapping about Jersey City madams and excursions to the tunnel with Chris Lighty, he delivers an inspired opening verse on The Cure, keeping time without a snare until the song's second act beat switch. Like I said, Hit Boy's the best with the beat switches. Nas tends to falter when tackling a capital S subjects. King's Disease is blessedly devoid of any plandemic speculation. King's Disease is blessedly devoid of any plandemic speculation. So he's saying at least he didn't take time out on King's Disease to spread what he would refer to as conspiracy theories about the plandemic. Because Nas said that they wanted him to change the title of the album because of everything that was going on in 2020 at that time. They wanted him to change the title because they felt like, the times that we were living in, they thought it wasn't a good idea. But luckily, he stuck with the title because the title wasn't about what was going on. It wasn't about the plandemic. And that was something that I had actually criticized him for with King's Disease 1 and 2, really, that there was no mention about the global plandemic that was happening at that time. Nas has always have been the one, like I said earlier, to reflect the times and talk about stuff that was going on. And so it was just crazy to me that he didn't mention it. He didn't talk about it at all. You know what I'm saying? Where he's saying it's a good thing that he didn't talk about it. You know what I'm saying? I was saying that wasn't Nas-like. For him to not talk about it told me that there were things going on. There was a change going on with my favorite MC that I didn't like too much. You know what I'm saying? Because Nas didn't give a fuck what you thought about his opinion and his feelings about what was going on before. But now it was like he didn't want to ruffle no feathers. He didn't want to step on no toes. And that was a bit disappointing for me. But for this guy, that was a blessing. All Bad was the shit, absolutely. I was looking for Nasir album to be as dope as the Pusha T joint. It wasn't trash, but not great either. I agree with that. It wasn't as good as the Pusha T joint. Pusha T joint was airtight. Yeah, it was definitely wasn't trash, but it wasn't one of his best. I agree with that. Black Boy, Don't You Cry is a really deep song. Shit hits your soul. Yes, that's on the Nasir album. Love that record. Nah, Nas left that for dope MCs like you to tackle Plandemic. Get it right. Exactly. Exactly. Nas already put in the work. Nas, it's like the OGs when they don't got to be active no more. They got the YGs that could go out there and do the work. I'm the YG now. You know what I'm saying? It's up to people like me to, step up and talk about the pandemic and all the stuff that was going on and hold the powers that be feet to the fire. Nas took those darts his whole career. His whole career, like I said, he not only went against the grain sonically and with his music choices and with the concepts, but with his content. Nas was always unapologetically going at these people. He was going at Fox when that wasn't a popular thing to do. He was going at media outlets like Fox News, like Hot 97. You know what I'm saying? He was going to war with Double XL and the Source magazine and the Vibe magazine and all of these entities. Nas was going to war with these people. You know what I'm saying? People that most people depend on to big up their career. He wasn't afraid of the consequences of going at these people who can make or break your career. But now, Nasir, you started to see signs of him caring a little bit more about those things and him not really wanting to ruffle those type of feathers. Can I really be mad at him? Not too mad. I can't be too mad at him. He put in the work when nobody else was doing it. And now you got, other niggas trying to come with the diet woke shit because we in this era where it's more popular to speak on these type of issues now. So some rappers feel like they got the green light to drop their little diet woke bars and shit. I like the 44 album just as much as anybody else, but y'all know what I'm talking about. I like the 444 album just as much as anybody else, but y'all know he was swerving into the Nas lane with that. Nas been doing that his whole career. Anyway, let's wrap this up. He's better at coaxing pathos from characters he observes or creates than he is at autobiographical soul searching. His stony effect strained by intimacy. I'm not even sure what he's trying to say right there. He's better at coaxing pathos from characters. So he's better at making up shit than speaking from an autobiographical real life place. Nas has been introspective and autobiographical his whole career. I feel like I know the man. I feel like not only do I know him, I feel like I know Ill Will. I feel like I know Jungle. I feel like I know Wiz. I feel like I know what the hallway smell like in Queensbridge projects. I feel like I know his mother, Ann Jones. I feel like, I know niggas from 40 houses and the 41st side of Vernon. I know Prodigy and them niggas. I feel like I grew up with these niggas from listening to Nas music. Not only autobiographical, but he's the most descriptive with the shit. So I don't know who he's writing about. King's Disease unfolds with a thematic scope suitable for reminiscence and self-coronation with a bit of the Marcus Garvey-inspired liberation theory he's dabbled in since If I Ruled the World. No, you can go all the way back to the beginning. He's dabbled in that. Way before If I Ruled the World. In a few instances, the record manifests a vulnerability rare even in Nas's most personal work, as on Till the War Is Won. Now, the other dude was saying Till the War Is Won was misogynistic, telling women to stay in their place. This guy is saying Nas was vulnerable on Till the War Is Won. Y'all got to get y'all got to get on code with each other a little bit better. When he curses God for taking his doting mother instead of his jazz-playing, jet-setting father. Yeah, I thought that was a weird line, too. On King's Disease, he did say something about, like, damn, God took his mom instead of his dad. Like, he would have preferred his dad instead of his mom. Yeah, I thought that was a little weird. I didn't like when he said that, to be honest. I didn't like when he said that. But where the song is on its surface, a peon to single mothers. A paeon to single mothers? It's not a peon. What's this word? Paean. A song of praise or triumph. That's what it means. Uh-oh. I lost the article. Let me go back to that article. That was Pitchfork, right? Pitchfork. King's disease. Hold on, y'all. I closed the article by accident. We get into the end of it, too, by the way. Let me pull that article back up. Let me pull that article back up. Okay, let me get where I was at. Let me find a place where I was at. Bear with me, y'all. Loose Kanye. Chance to falter. If I rule the world. Okay. But where the song is on its surface a paean to single mothers, Nas' bemoaning of broken families culminates in a mealy-mouthed admonishment. Women, stop chasing your man away. Men, stop acting crazy chasing your woman away. That was him talking at the end of the record, just summarizing the message that he was trying to convey in the album. He was talking about bringing back strong black families. That's a good message. That's a good message. You don't got to be super barred up to give that message. You don't got to be super barred up or say something extra deep in order to portray that beautiful message about bringing back together strong black families. I don't give a fuck how you say that. It needs to be said. King's disease makes overtures of applauding women in a manner that feels defensive in light of 2018's allegations. So he's taking a shot, but remember, in the Rolling Stone article, the guy said Nas was misogynistic on this album, telling women they need to stay in their place on this album. Here, and he was saying Nas doing that was reflective of those abuse allegations. Yeah, he seems like the type of dude that would be abusive. Listen to the way he talks about women. He's so misogynistic, trying to make you believe the allegations about the Khalees abuse. That's what the guy in the Rolling Stone was doing. But this guy is saying, yeah, he makes overtures of applauding women on this album. So he's saying, yeah, he picks up women on this album, but he's only doing it to try to clean up his image because of those abuse allegations. That's what this guy's trying to say. So y'all gotta get on code with each other a little bit better. Y'all contradicting each other, still trying to take shots. Still evident is the backhanded slut shaming so eagerly cribbed by J. Cole, the unwitting as a father of a daughter misogyny of 2012's Daughters. He's saying the song Daughters was misogynistic. He lost me on something when he's talking about the J. Cole thing. Still evident is the backhanded slut shaming so eagerly cribbed by J. Cole, the unwitting as a father of a daughter misogyny of 2012's Daughters. So Daughters, he's saying, was a misogynistic record. Talking about being a girl dad. That was misogynistic. Wow. On Car 85, Nas recalls chasing a teenage crush to Co-op City only to find 10 fellow suitors waiting outside her building. Is that what he said? I don't think they were fellow suitors waiting outside their building. It was just some thugs from the neighborhood where she lived at. That's a common thing, to look out for if you're from New York, especially if you're from New York and you're going to see a chick in somebody's projects. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to be prepared to get some ice grills and for niggas to make you feel uncomfortable. Niggas might question you about who you are, who you here to see and all that. That's what he was talking about on the song. It wasn't a bunch of niggas that was there to see the girl. He was just talking about niggas from the neighborhood ice grilling. Both replace me in all bad, address nameless execs, vacillating between spite and remorse without enough nuance or transparency to disperse any appreciable insights. King's disease climaxes with full circle, which reunites the firm's 1996 lineup of Nas, AZ, Cormega, and Foxy Brown. In the past firm reunions, the reconvened members, titans of New York's blockbuster era, looked back on their wild youths, warily contemplating their divergent paths. Full Circle is the closest they've come to an honest reckoning. I don't remember them doing no other reunions. Am I forgetting something? Did the firm get back together sometime before the King's Disease album? I don't remember them doing any other reunions before that. I must be tripping. AZ perpetually mid-champagne flute in toast to his impossible good fortune, admits to dishonesty in relationships. So they keep trying to focus on this black man misogyny thing. Never mind, AZ had an amazing verse on that record. He wants to try to pinpoint that he admits being dishonest in some of his relationships. The games that I was playing was silly, similar to them days when I was packing that millie. It could have killed me. Cormega, never one to forgive a slight or forget a grudge, rules his past control issues. Thinking my girl was my possession, I stand corrected. It's strange that Foxy Brown was conscripted for this exercise in male redemption, and her verse belongs on a different song altogether. Like, why is Foxy Brown on this misogynistic song? What the fuck? There's a memorial heir to the proceedings, running mates who've drifted to the suburbs and whose kids attend different schools. Nas remains a prisoner of his own device, but that doesn't mean his comrades can't move on. So, again, man, this has been going on ever since it was written. And like I said, 1996 was a pivotal year, not just in Nas's career, but in hip hop. 1996 was real pivotal when things really started to shift and be really steered and controlled by people from outside the culture. The powers that shouldn't be really took control over the culture. That's the year where it really went left. You know what I'm saying? It really started to go left from there. And so this attack, this onslaught, this media onslaught against Nas throughout his career has been a part of that larger play, a part of them usurping, like I said earlier, usurping foundational Black Americans from the culture, and also devaluing the role and the importance of the wordsmith, the MC, the poet, the thinker, devaluing that. You know, slandering Nas was important for those reasons. But thankfully and luckily, as fate would have it, Nas would continue to pursue his career unapologetically and continue to really dedicate himself to the art more so than the trends, although he had his trendy moments here and there. He's in the music business. Pressure from labels and all type of stuff to get certain things done. He had his trendy moments here and there, but overall, Nas has been very consistent and persistent about pursuing the art of what we do more than the trends that he's had to endure throughout his career. And he's done that, and he's been successful doing that. So he's a defiance to the very thing that they have tried to destroy for all of these years. He's a smack in the face to all of that. And so I appreciate y'all tapping in with me tonight. This was I feel like a very constructive, very good broadcast here. I feel like I said what needed to be said and got a lot off of my chest as far as these articles, the slander that came out recently, and the stuff that we touched on that's come out throughout his career. You guys could go look at what Elliot Wilson wrote back in '96 for, I think, Ego Trip magazine. They said it was in. That was really the beginning of all of this that we talked about tonight. I'll probably, like I said, do a broadcast where I pull up that article and pull up his review on Reasonable Doubt. They came out a month apart from each other. It was written, came out July 2nd, I believe, 1996, and Reasonable Doubt came out sometime in August of 1996. So about a month apart from each other. And so they're both held in high regard now. In hindsight, they're both classics. But one of them was heavily criticized and ridiculed and dismissed, and the other one has been treated like it's been given its proper respect. I don't want to say they put nothing extra on it. It's been given its proper respect. Reasonable Doubt is a classic album, so that has been given its proper respect. But the other one, it was written, has been attacked and slandered. But it has redeemed itself just by being what it is. You know what I'm saying? Nas didn't have to go on no tirade and fight back against the media like what I'm doing and what a lot of other people are doing nowadays, especially on YouTube. Salute to the guys over at According to Hip Hop, Mike and Coop. They do a great job. I'm going to continue to big them up because I think what they do is very necessary. And those are some intelligent brothers who are deeply rooted in the culture and the art form. The brother Ease, his channel, again, is another defense mechanism against this media onslaught, against Nasir Jones. And so big up to those brothers. Again, their channels are pretty much dedicated to that. You know what I'm saying? My YouTube channel, we do different things here. We cover a lot of stuff here. Like I said, we the voices of the we are the signal boosters for the voices of the new black media. And so, we do current events here. We talk about politics. We talk about social issues. We talk about, relationship issues from time to time. We got the Black Business Showcase where we bring on business owners and entrepreneurs and we give them a spotlight and big them up. But I started off this channel, my very first broadcast, doing a review on King's Disease. Y'all guys can go back and check that out. My first two ever episodes of Sincere Love the Godcast were about the King's Disease album. And the first one I was doing my review on the album, and the second one I was getting at another journalist. I think it might have been one of the articles I pulled up today. I don't remember which journalist I was getting at that time for the slander, for doing one of them bullshit reviews on the King's Disease album. And so that's how I started this channel. And, for the past 3 years, from 2020 to now, every time Nas does something significant, something important, I always cover it. Even if I don't do a full broadcast like this, I'm going to create some type of content to post on Instagram, Twitter. You know what I'm saying? I might do an Instagram live or something talking about it. I might just write something on Facebook talking about it. You know what I'm saying? Depending on what it is and how much detail I have to go into with it. But I always cover Nas specifically and hip hop in general. You know what I'm saying? So y'all can look definitely, long as Nas keep doing his thing, I'm going to always add my commentary to it. So those of y'all who are diehard Nas fans like myself, that's a good reason for you to make sure you stay subscribed to this channel and follow me on all social media platforms at Sincere Love to God. But again, I appreciate y'all tapping in with me tonight, man. On your way out the door, make sure you hit the like button. Double check, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you can be reminded every time we go live with new content on this channel. I still got to do a review. This wasn't the official review. I thought I might have been able to sneak in a review while defending Nas against this media onslaught. But no, there was a lot to unpack with these articles. And so I touched on how I feel about the album and gave my overall rating and opinion of the album. But I didn't do an official review. And I might do it some other way. I might just take some of the songs and just break down, 2 songs on this broadcast here and there. Because I really love this album. So I do plan on talking about it more. And so just to let y'all know how much I love the album, I was creating a list. I was ranking Nas albums, his 19 studio albums. He really, if you count the collaborations with Damian Marley, the Firm album, the QB Finest album, if you count those, he has about 21 albums, 21, 22 albums, something like that. But if you just narrow it down to the studio albums, and now the studio albums, that includes Lost Tapes 1 and 2. He has 19 albums. And so I ranked them in order. I think I got it down to where I want it. Over the last couple of days, I've been moving things around and kind of refining the list before I put it out. So I haven't put it out yet, but I want to let y'all know how high I have this Magic 3 album for the record. I want to let the family know how, so that y'all know, yes, if you think I'm putting extras on it, yes, I'm putting extras on it. This album, not only is it the best of the Hit Boy collaborations, but it's better than all of these albums. It's better than the Lost Tapes 2. It's better than Nasir. It's better than Nostradamus. It's better than Hip Hop is Dead. It's better than Life is Good. It's better than Street's Disciple. It's better than the Nigga album, the Untitled album. And that's one of my favorite albums. Like, I listen to that album more than any of Nas's albums. That's my go-to, the Untitled album. But objectively, it's not a better album than this Magic 3 album. Objectively, it's not better than a lot of albums in his catalog, that Nigga album, objectively speaking. But from a personal standpoint, it might be my personal favorite to listen to. I love that album. You know what I'm saying? But from an objective standpoint, it's in the top 10. I have it in my top 10, but it's not in the top 5. Objectively. That should show people how fair I am, how unbiased I am when it comes to these things. Even though I love Nas, even though he's my favorite MC, the fact that I criticize him the way that I do, the fact that I have a personal attachment to one album or the other, but I still will rank it in its proper place, should show people how unbiased I am when it comes to these things. All right? And so what else is Magic 3 better than? Like I said, it's better than all of the other Hit Boy joints. It's better than I Am. It's better than Godson. And y'all really gonna unsubscribe to the channel when I tell y'all this one. When I tell y'all these next two, y'all gonna unsubscribe to the channel. But I mean this shit. At least right now, this is how I feel. I might end up refining the list a little bit more, but right now, this is how I truly feel. It's better than Stillmatic, and it's better than the Lost Tapes. There it is. I said it. I have it at number 3, y'all. Illmatic is number 1. It Was Written as number 2. I got Magic 3 at number 3. That's what I think about this album. It's a perfect album to me. There are no skips on it. The replay value, his lyrical performance, the production from end to end. I got it at number 3, y'all. Illmatic, It Was Written, Magic 3. And then Lost Tapes and Stillmatic. I keep going back and forth about Lost Tapes and Stillmatic, which one is the 4th slot, which one is the 5th slot. The reason why I put Lost Tapes 1 slot above Stillmatic is because there are 2 skips on Stillmatic. On Stillmatic, technically, really for me, there's 3 skips. There's 2 official skips, which are Rule with A. Marie and My Country. Those are the 2 official skips. But I also skip Rewind. Even though Rewind is one of his most brilliant feats on the microphone, as a song, I just don't be wanting to hear it. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's one of his most brilliant things he's ever done in his whole career. Nigga told the story backwards. You know what I'm saying? Nigga told the story backwards. But I usually skip that song. And so for that reason, I put Lost Tapes above Stillmatic because I don't skip nothing on Lost Tapes. The last song on the Lost Tapes is the Fetus song, and I might not let that one play, but it's the last song, so I don't got to skip anything. But yeah, so that's where I'm at with it. But yeah, I will do probably an official review or some other type of breakdown for the Magic 3 album coming soon. So y'all stay tuned for that. Don't say it. Not better than Stillmatic. I'm telling you, this is how I feel right now about the album, man. I put it above Lost Tapes and Stillmatic. I put it above Lost Tapes and Stillmatic. I really did. Now, that might change over time. But how I feel right now, yeah. Yeah, that's the top 5. Illmatic, It Was Written, Magic 3, Lost Tapes, and Stillmatic. That's the top 5 from the catalog. Y'all want me to tell y'all the next 5? Y'all want me to go all the way to number 10 before I get out of here? Want me to tell y'all the next 5? Let me know if y'all want me to tell y'all the next 5 so you can know my top 10 Nas albums before I get out of here. Let me know. I'm waiting for y'all to respond in the chat. I still got a couple of y'all in here hanging out with me. Y'all want me to tell y'all the next 5? The top 5, I got Illmatic, It Was Written, Magic 3, Lost Tapes, Stillmatic. Now, I don't expect nobody to agree with me on my list. My list is my list. Some people, I seen somebody put together a list the other day that I didn't 100% agree with, but I wasn't mad at. I think you commented on it, Ish. One of those, I think it was Essence Magazine, out of all people. Like, Essence is trash. But they did a ranking of all Nas's albums, and it wasn't ranked the way I would rank it, but I wasn't mad at it. When I look at the list, I'm like, that's a good ranking. You know what I'm saying? They did it pretty good. Let's go. Top 10 Nas albums. Okay, let's go. Top 10 Nas albums. All right. So, at number 10, I got the Nigga album, the Untitled album. I got the Untitled album at number 10. And like I said, I play that album more than anything. But I had to put it at number 10 objectively. When I look at how it really plays as an album, the overall production, the sequencing, like when I consider all of the things, I can't put it over none of those albums that I got in the top 5. Although I would love to. Just because of the themes on that album and the unapologetic blackness. That's his blackest album. So that's probably why it's my favorite. Because he goes in on Fox News. He goes in, he bigs up Farrakhan. You know what I mean? He introduced me to Ivan Van Sertima on that album. You know what I'm saying? I have a personal attachment to that album, but I got it at number 10. I got King's Disease number 3 at number 9. So KD3 makes the top 10. I got Magic, the first Magic, at number 8. KD3 and Magic cracks the top 10. KD3, Magic, and Magic 3 all crack the top 10. Magic 3 being in the top 5. So Magic number 1 is number 8. Number 7, I got I Am. I love that album. A lot of people kind of criticize that album. I never really understood the criticism behind that album the same way I never understood the criticism behind It Was Written. I love the I Am album. And so that's number 7 for me. Godson is number 6. And I was going back and forth with I Am being above Godson, but Godson has less skips. I could skip Dr. Knock Boot. I could skip Even Money Is My Bitch, although it's another brilliant display. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's a whack song or nothing, but I'm just not always in the mood to hear The Money Is My Bitch. You know what I'm saying? Or the KSSING shit. That used to be my shit. Like when the album came out, the one with him and R. Kelly, the KSING shit, that used to be my shit, but nowadays, if I play that album, I'll probably skip that song. Whereas the Godson album, I really don't skip nothing. I really don't skip nothing on Godson. So I put Godson at number 6. I Am at number 7. And then y'all heard the top 5. Stillmatic, Lost Tapes, Magic 3, It Was Written, Illmatic. So officially, my top 10, number 1 is Illmatic. Number 2 is It Was Written. Magic 3 is number 3. Lost Tapes is number 4. Stillmatic is number 5. Godson at number 6. I Am at number 7. Magic at number 8, KD3 at number 9, and the Untitled album at number 10. Those are my top 10 Nas albums. I'm going to sit on this for a little while longer, for at least a few more days. I'm going to keep going back to see if I got this list down to how I really want it. And then I'll post it, and y'all will see the entire list of how I rank Nas albums from 1 to 19. From 1 to 19. I'm not gonna include the Damian Marley project. I'm not gonna include the Firm project. I'm not gonna include the QB Finest project. But I do include both of the Lost Tapes. And so I'm gonna rank them from 1 to 19. I pretty much got them ranked now. Those are my top 10 that I just gave y'all. But I'm gonna make sure that I'm cool with this list before I post it up. But I'll post it on Twitter and I'll post it on Facebook in the next couple of days when I'm confident that I got the order exactly how I want it. I love Street's Disciple too, but objectively, it doesn't make the top 10. I personally love Street's Disciple. I play Street's Disciple a lot more than the other ones also. Street's Disciple and the Untitled album, those are slept on Nas albums to me, and Hip Hop Is Dead to a certain degree. But the Untitled and the Street's Disciple, those are his most slept on albums to me. And I love those albums personally, but I understand from an objective standpoint how they're not better than some of the other stuff in his catalog. But I'm with you on those, though. Street's Disciple is my shit. There's some joints on there. I play that shit all the time. All right, so I'm really out of here now, y'all. I did 3 hours with y'all today. 3 hours. I appreciate y'all, man. I definitely appreciate y'all. And so I'm really about to get out of here now. Let me get my stuff together over here so I can close this thing out. All right, family. Remember. I am not the master teacher, but I am the master student and signal booster for the voices of the new black media. Appreciate y'all chopping it up with me tonight, man. I'll see y'all on the other side. I'm out of here. Peace and black love.
Yeah, like that. Let's see what's in the God's mind. Listen.